I look at the Houston Texans going up against the Buffalo Bills and the aftermath of that one. The Texans now have some life. The Texans are now sitting there at 6-5. And I know the Texans aren't the lead story. I'll get more into that. But when C.J. Stroud does come back, it's going to be a lot of pressure on C.J. Stroud because Davis Mills obviously did more than weather the storm. But now C.J. Stroud, who through his first 2 years as an NFL quarterback, the first year was sensational. The second year there was regression. To start off year number 3, it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. Now when he comes back, and assuming that he's able to take back over the reins coming up Thanksgiving weekend when that team is in Indianapolis, you got to go find a way to be the C.J. Stroud that we saw in year number 1. There is no doubt about it that this football team started off the season digging themselves in a massive hole. They have been able to climb out of that hole, and it really turned around with that unexpected victory up against the Niners. I know they lost that one game to the Broncos, but since then they beat the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Bills. It hasn't been the prettiest thing, but when your quarterback's been hurt and your quarterback was dealing with that concussion and you're able to pull out all those victories, it now saves your season. So there's a enormous amount of pressure on C.J. Stroud the rest of the way. And let's be real about this. It's not like the Texans have murderer's row in their schedule. Like, yeah, their next 2 weeks are tough. They are in Indianapolis. They're in Kansas City. You split, though, one of those games, like both those games. You split those games. You're sitting there with the 7-6 record. Even if you lose both those games, you're sitting there at 6-7. Didn't even mean to do that one. But then to wrap up the season, you play the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers, and the Colts. So I understand it's not the easiest schedule in the world, but it's not also like you look at the schedule and you say, hey, the Texans can't beat any of those teams. And in this league, you know, some principles change, some philosophies change, but something that never changes is you will be in every game and you'll have an opportunity to win these games as long as you could just beat the living snot out of the quarterback. And that's what the Houston Texans did last night, where they were all up in the grill of Josh Allen and they made him very uncomfortable. So I'm not sitting here and I don't have any bold proclamations when it comes to the Houston Texans. But the Texans are now alive. The Texans right now, they are just on the outside looking in. And the Texans, you know, if they could beat the Colts, they are going to be knocking on that door to potentially come on back and win the AFC South, or at bare minimum, be a wild card team. So the AFC South is better than what we thought heading into this season. Not the way that we thought it was going to be there. You would have thought the Texans would be in the lead spot, but Indianapolis has been the best team in the AFC South. The Jaguars have been impressive. And then the Texans, who were dead, there's now a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they're definitely going to the playoffs. It's probably still unlikely that they make the playoffs. But to be able to be there through 12 weeks at 6-5 with how disastrous of a start that this was for the Houston Texans, salute to them. Now, let's get to the other side of this. The Buffalo Bills. I am concerned about the Buffalo Bills. And quite frankly, I don't give a rat's ass what the Buffalo Bills do the rest of the regular season. The Buffalo Bills are going to be moved into that category and that territory of wake me up when you make the playoffs. And can I sit here and tell you I expect the Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl right now? No, I can't. And it's kind of crazy because you look at, like, if you're shaping up a year for this to be the Bills' year, and I would have told you, okay, in the AFC North, the Ravens and the Steelers are slugging it out. Probably only one team makes it. In the AFC South, you have the Colts coming out of nowhere. There's a chance the Texans aren't even going to be in the playoffs. The West, the Broncos are probably going to win the AFC West. The Chiefs may not make the playoffs. Like, if I just gave you that script before the start of the season, that the AFC North would be down. The Bengals probably not going to make the playoffs. You know, they won't make the playoffs. The Steelers and Ravens really aren't scaring anybody. The South is even going to be probably won by the Texans. And then if I would have told you that there's a legitimate chance that the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs and the Chiefs won't win the AFC West, if you were the Buffalo Bills and you were a fan of the Buffalo Bills, you'd probably look at me and say, Zach, is it too early to book a reservation in Santa Clara for the Super Bowl? But here's the part about that. Here's the crazy part. Like, the Bills are going to I'm not concerned that the Bills will miss the playoffs. If the Patriots beat the Bengals this weekend, and I don't know if Joe Burrow is going to play or not. The last 2 days, it seemed like it was going to be that case. Today, you wake up, and it seems like it's not going to be that case. It's, Ian Rappaport had the report out this morning. The pendulum seems to be swinging back to Joe Flacco for this upcoming Sunday. So, let's just say the Patriots beat the Bengals, which is not a lock. But let's just say they do. The Patriots would be sitting there at 10-2, and the Bills would be sitting there at 7-4. I know the Bills still play the Patriots one more time, and the Patriots already beat them. If we get to that rate where you look at the Patriots schedule where they're 10-2, and the remaining games are up against the Giants, the Bills, the Ravens, the Jets, and the Dolphins, I could really only see the Patriots losing 2 games on that schedule the rest of the way. That's if the Patriots get through this weekend. That would be the Bills, and that would be the Ravens. But this Buffalo team, talk about not being ready for the moment. Talk about being disappointing. That's what the Bills are. And I'll tell you, when I first started to sense that maybe this year's not going to be where the Bills are going to think it's going to go? It's when I was in that locker room. And now I look back on that moment, and I thought, okay, it's an outsider. I was there for the game up against the Falcons when they lose. You never expect the locker room to be happy when they lose, obviously. But there was a great sense of frustration emanating from the quarterback in Josh Allen when I was in that locker room. And when I heard him also speak at the podium after that Falcons game. And what you saw in that Falcons game was eerily similar to what you saw up against the Houston Texans, where the Falcons got all up in the grill of Josh Allen. The Texans all got up in that grill of Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, if he's not playing a perfect game, it's almost like the Bills can't find a way to win. And even if there are some imperfections, he's going to have to go have 6 total touchdowns like what we saw last week. So you're looking at this team, they're sitting there at 7-4. We're sure they start out the season 4-0. They had the miraculous comeback up against Baltimore. Then they play Cupcake U's in the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Saints. Then they shockingly lose to the Patriots. They then followed up with a loss to the Falcons. All right, then they get a bye week. They smother the Carolina Panthers. Then they beat the Chiefs, which they always do in the regular season. But then what do? They got dominated by a bad Miami Dolphins team. All right, then they beat a decimated Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. And then you're going up against the Texans with Davis Mills. Davis Mills is the quarterback, and you can't beat them because Will Anderson embarrassed you all night. Danielle Hunter embarrassed you all night. That's what happened. And I look at this Buffalo Bills team, and I know it sounds I'm being critical of Josh Allen. I'm not. Josh Allen is not set up to take this team to a Super Bowl this year. Now, it doesn't mean he can't. He is individually good where he can go out there and win any game against any team. That's how great of a player Josh Allen is. But with that being said, when your line plays the way that the offensive line did last night, and how it did a few weeks ago up against the Atlanta Falcons, and how it did up against the Miami Dolphins, and your quarterback isn't on 100, that's where you get screwed. And don't get me wrong, they have another nice complementary piece from a skill position player. Josh Allen and James Cook, those are 2 really damn good pieces. But outside of that, what do the Bills have? What do they got? Dalton Kincaid has been disappointing. He's also been an injury problem. You look at Keon Coleman, he's now not dressed for 2 straight games. That was a guy they picked with a 33rd selection 2 years ago. He's been a bust. Outside of his introductory press conference, he's been a flop. And don't get me wrong, it's funny how this works from year to year, right? You sometimes see narratives that are formed. Like last year, the Buffalo Bills got rid of Stephon Diggs. The Buffalo Bills were the winner of the Stephon Diggs, situation. And Josh Allen thrived and survived without Stephon Diggs. A year later, is there a better teammate in the NFL right now than Stephon Diggs with my New England Patriots? And you get the Patriots sitting there at 9-2. The Patriots could almost taste a cap and a T-shirt that says AFC East champions. And Josh Allen just doesn't have enough pieces around him. He just doesn't. And we sat here and we said this when the Bills got rid of Stephon Diggs. Yes, you could patch it together for a year. But eventually you got to go out and get another playmaker. And could they have gotten DK Metcalf? They could have. They didn't. Could they have gotten a George Pickens? They could have. They didn't. We have thrown out names for the Buffalo Bills to be aggressive on for the last few years. in multiple different areas of this team. And they're just simply not that aggressive. So do you just rest on your franchise quarterback and you just say, okay, Josh, go do everything? Or do you try to help him and make it easier? Like, what path do you take? Because you should be doing everything to help out your young quarterback, who is one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But this formula of saying, Josh, here's the cape. Go fly. And then he gets hit and there's some rips in the cape and you don't fix the cape. Well, guess what? Superman isn't going to fly that far. And right now, I don't care what the Bills do the rest of the season. Right? They play the Steelers, the Bengals, the Patriots, the Browns, the Eagles, and the Jets. We know the Bills could be a good regular season team. We've seen them be a good regular season team the last few years. But they're leaking right now. And how can they patch this up right now and get you into the postseason where you may not have Lamar Jackson in it? You may not have Patrick Mahomes in it. You have a lot of young teams in there with a lot of quarterbacks that are having good years, but we don't know what they're going to look like in the postseason. And how can you find a way to put your stud in the best position to succeed? From a roster standpoint, it's not going to get that much better. Trade deadline has already passed us. You can't go be aggressive. Like, could you go pick someone up off the street? Sure. And maybe that'd be a nice little 1 or 2 game story. But this is coming down to coaching and the quarterback. That's what it's coming down to. And Joe Brady, got to go show me why he could be a head coach. Sean McDermott, I know the Pagula family doesn't want to get rid of you, but you got to go show me that the program that you built has the ability to go take that next step. But what I saw last night from the Buffalo Bills, the way you beat them, just go hit the quarterback. Go make him uncomfortable, because even though he likes to absorb a lot of contact, and even though he's one of the best players in the NFL, every quarterback doesn't like to get hit. Every single one of them. And the Bills don't have multiple ways to beat you. On offense, the only 2 things you look at that you really have to game plan for is 17 and then also the running back in James Cook, number 4. Outside of that, nothing else really scares you. So this is a wide open year in the AFC. And we're sitting here, in week 12, and you have legitimate questions with the Ravens, legitimate questions with the Chiefs, legitimate questions with the Buffalo Bills. And those have been the 3 teams, and you can factor in the Bengals too, but the Bengals aren't going to make the playoffs. Those are the 3 to 4 teams in the AFC for the last half decade plus, let's say, 5 to 7 years, that have really told the story of the AFC. It seems like there is a opening and there's a huge window that is open for someone else to go grab the AFC this year. Good thing is for these teams, if you want to give me one optimistic thing, it's not the end of the season yet. We're getting there. We're closing on Thanksgiving. And we talked about teams being vulnerable before, and then they go on to win the Super Bowl, and they go on to get the Super Bowl. But right now, I don't like what I'm seeing for Kansas City, and I don't like what I'm seeing from the Buffalo Bills. And who would have thought we'd be able to say that 11 to 12 weeks into a season before the season did start? Zach Gelb here with you on the Infinity Sports Network. Bill sideline reporter Sal Capaccio will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. This past summer, I was in Chicago. I was going to a Cubs game, and sitting right next to me was the great Sal Capaccio as the Bills were in town to have a preseason game up against the Chicago Bears. I was going to the UFC fights later on that night, and we had a good time at Wrigley Field. Sal is obviously the Bills sideline reporter, and he's kind enough to join us once again right now on the show. Sal, always appreciate the time. How you been, my man?
Pretty good, pretty good. That was my son's first time at Wrigley, my second. And then this weekend, I'm taking him to his first ever NBA game up in Toronto.
How about that? Nice. Going to a little Raptors game?
Yeah. Nets against Raptors. The Bills are off, obviously. They just played last night. So taking a trip up. It's only an hour and a half from Buffalo. I mean, with the traffic in Toronto, it becomes a little longer, but yeah.
All righty, so I was in person for the Bills-Falcons game, a few weeks ago. Last night reminded me a lot like that Bills-Falcons game where the defense was just all up in the face of Josh Allen. Just what did you make of that performance last night by the Texans defense?
It was incredible. obviously the Bills, couldn't handle them, and that's on the Bills. But that's the number one defense in the league. They give up less than 17 points a game, and honestly, the Bills' offense didn't even score that much because it was 19, but 7 came on a kickoff return, obviously. So, 8 sacks, you can't give up 8 sacks. 70 yards lost in those sacks. A lot of that's on Josh Allen. We know he tries to do too much sometimes in those situations, but he also has great plays when that happens, so you live with it, right? But they just were really getting after it, and they beat the Bills up physically up front, and that's not something we've seen a lot of over the last few years with the Bills' offensive line.
How do the Bills fix this offense? I know it's a weird question to ask when they just had 6 touchdowns last week up against Tampa Bay, but right now the only constants for me are Josh Allen and James Cook that I could really rely on.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a fix. There's no trade deadline. The trade deadline's passed, right? They went out and reportedly tried to add Jalen Waddle, which tells you what the GM even thinks about what the receiving core is right now, because they don't have answers at wide receiver. They don't have separators on the outside. Keon Coleman not even playing the last 2 days. The last 2 games is a healthy scratch, but he hasn't even helped on the field when he has been playing. They got great contribution from Tyrell Shavers on Sunday, but nothing from him last night. Gabe Davis helped out on Sunday, not as much last night. Khalil Shakir obviously had yards after catch. That's how they're built. Get the ball out to guys quickly, run yards after catch. They can't throw the ball downfield. I will say, not having Dalton Kincaid in that Atlanta game and in the Texans game has hurt them. Dalton Kincaid's a big part of their offense. He really helps them out in the middle of the field, and they don't have much, when he's not playing, it really hurts.
So what's going on with Keon Coleman? I thought this was going to be a 1-week thing, and then he's now out for the last 2 games. I know what we heard last week, but it just didn't get better this week?
Well, it's not. No, it's so tough. If they would have played Sunday this week, I think Keon probably would have played, to be quite honest with you. It's such a quick turnaround. He was benched because he was his 3rd disciplinary action. Last year, he had missed a meeting or been late to a meeting. He was benched for a quarter in a game. This year, it happened earlier in the year against the Patriots. Sunday Night Football, he missed the first series of the game. And then this happened again last week on a Friday, so they sat him down. And then you have a quick turnaround. And as you know, Zach, you can't just put in a whole new game plan on a 4 days against a non-division opponent, you're not familiar with. So I can think they had such a nice outing offensively. It's a quick turnaround. It was more of the kind of circumstance that I don't think anything else happened with Keon Coleman.
Sal Capaccio here with us. When you get to this team inside the locker room, and you're there every day, right? You're in the locker room after the games. I walk in as an outsider after the Falcons game, and I just walked away, and I get it. It's a losing locker room. And I said to myself, Josh seemed really frustrated. Just like, how do you kind of evaluate where the locker room is at right now when they've gone through some tough times here the last few weeks?
Yeah, I have no concern about the locker room. This is a team and organization. They've all kind of been together, most of them for, 6, 7, 8 years now, a lot of them. They've been through the ups and downs together. Sure, there's going to be frustration. They're competitors, right? They should have been to a Super Bowl by now, and they haven't. Josh Allen's a league MVP, and, things aren't going well. So I would expect them to be frustrated. I'd expect them to, have a pretty somber attitude about them. But they've been through this before. I just went through it 2 years ago. They were 5-5 after 10 games, I think, 6-6 after 12. They caught the Dolphins and won the East on the final Sunday night game. A couple years before that, remember the wind game with the Patriots come to town? The Bills actually in December were trailing the Patriots in the standings and then wound up catching them. The difference is this year, I just don't think they have quite the roster to make the mistakes they've been making. In years past, you make mistakes, they overcome them because they have Josh and he's Superman. They have wide receivers who can, really just have a big night or whatever. They don't have that. Their margin for error is a lot slimmer and thinner right now. And Zach, they're turning the ball over now like they haven't the last few years. They won an NFL record of like 26 straight games, I think it was, of winning or not losing the turnover battle, which is incredible. And now they've lost the turnover battle a lot this year, and especially on the road.
Yeah, and the season clearly isn't over, but you start to think about next season when you see some performances like this. And it's a weird conversation to have because Josh Allen is one of the best players, period, in the NFL. He's one of the best, if not the best playmakers in the NFL. So you want the ball in his hands so many times, but it just seems like they're asking him to do way too much this year.
See, I don't know. I don't totally agree with that. I think that's been the narrative over the last several years. They're actually asking him to do less this year, and fans want him to do more because they've been running the ball so well. James Cook has been the guy that teams want to shut down this year because he's the guy that they've been asking. But what happens is when the run game isn't going, that's when you have to ask Josh to make up for what you don't have at wide receiver, and that's when he has to do too much. But I actually think that over the course of the season, they put a lot less on Josh because they want to run the ball so much, and they've been great at it. But again, that brings into less margin for error when things don't go well on first and second down.
Sal Capaccio here with us for a few more moments. It just shows you, I know it's a week-to-week league, but you go back to last year, it was okay. Stephon Diggs no longer there. They were able to survive and thrive without Stephon Diggs, and now people are sitting there saying, hey, they need a number one wide receiver. They need another playmaker on the offensive side of the ball. I thought it was time to move off of Stephon Diggs. I'm not saying, hey, they should still have him on this team. You talked about Jalen Waddle at the deadline. You got to anticipate this offseason they're going to go be aggressive to try to go get a number one, right?
We thought that last offseason, too, and they signed Josh Palmer, and then you remember the radio interview that blew up, basically, from Brandon Beane with a couple of our hosts, Jeremy and Joe, and it was right after the draft, and they were questioning, and, if the resources were poured into wide receiver as other teams and other positions, and Brandon Beane said, reminded everybody they scored 30 points a game, and they had just gone out and got Josh Palmer, and they had Keon Coleman, and Dalton Kincaid, was going to step up as a pass catcher. Then that day, they signed Elijah Moore, by the way, so I think they felt that they were good enough. I think the Bills' philosophy at wide receiver has been, look, we can go with a bunch of pass catchers who are good and all have different roles because we have Josh Allen, and he's going to make them all better. But I do think, Zach, to your point, and I agree with you, they miss a guy like Stephon Diggs. I'm not saying they miss Stephon Diggs. I think that relationship weared itself to the point where both sides had to part ways, but they need a guy like that. There's no go-to guy right now in this roster when it's 3rd and 6 and you need a play. Like, I watched the Texans, and I know that he didn't have a great night last night, credit the Bills defense, but Nico Collins is like, okay, when you need to play, you throw it to him, right? Everybody has a guy on the roster, a lot of and Stephon Diggs has become that guy for Drake May, of course. They need a guy like that. I do think they'll go out. The problem is the Bills are very, very cash strapped when it comes to the salary cap. They're right up against it. They're paying a lot of guys a lot of money because they're paying their quarterback the most guaranteed money in NFL history. They're paying their left tackle, their right tackle, their middle linebacker, their corner, all the positions you should pay. So how do you do it? If you draft somebody picking in the 20s or 30s, is that guy going to step right in and be a true number one wide receiver? I just think it's a tough needle to thread.
The Diggs stuff is interesting to me because I know that a lot of the guys in the locker room love him, but he had an ugly end in Minnesota. I thought he was a pain in the ass at the end in Buffalo. He goes to Houston last year, and all their radio guys are raving about him in the offseason. And then seeing him this year, he's been like such a team-first guy. What do you think the perception is, the fair perception is of a Stephon Diggs?
It'll end ugly in New England too, by the way, because that's just what happens with Stephon Diggs. It's great now, and it was great in Buffalo for 3 years. I mean, that's just the way it is. It was great in Minnesota for 3 years. I mean, that's how it is, and that's great. And Stephon Diggs is an ultra competitor, and he wants everybody to be the highly, highly competitive guy just like him. And if the Patriots don't win a Super Bowl, maybe that's when it starts a little bit, because that's kind of what happened in Buffalo. And I'm not here to bash Stephon Diggs for it. I'm just telling you that that's just his personality. It will end ugly in New England just like it did everywhere else.
Wrap it up with Sal Capaccio. So it's kind of fascinating to me, because if I would have told a Bills fan before the season that there's a legitimate chance the Chiefs nor the Ravens make the playoffs, I think they would sign up and start booking their hotels in Santa Clara. Just how about this opportunity they still have in front of them, because they could slide into the postseason even with all these struggles and not see Lamar Jackson. I know they beat twice in the playoffs, and then the ultimate kryptonite, Kansas City, could be on the outside looking in.
Well, not only that, but it's funny to say it this way. I mean, you want to win the division, you want to get the 1 seed, and this is the year you should have done it, right, for the Bills. But there's an argument to be made that it might be a better path to be a wild card this year, because if you are a division winner, you might face the Ravens, you might face the Chiefs, or you might face Cincinnati with Joe Burrow. If you're a wild card, you go to L.A., Chargers maybe, if they win it, or Denver, of course. They're probably going to win their division. You go to New England, where, having a great year, no doubt about it. But I think, you can play with them. Maybe you go to Pittsburgh, something like that. Indy. I just think it's kind of funny the way it's washing out here, and I don't think that that's a preferred path for the Bills or any team. You don't want to be on the road every game in the wild card, but you got to get there first. And if you do get there and you have number 17 and you play those teams, I give them just as good a shot as anybody.
When we do hot seat conversation just throughout the last few years, people will call up and they'll say, hey, Sean McDermott should be on the hot seat. I don't have any belief that the Pegula family is anywhere close to moving off of Sean McDermott, but if they don't get to an AFC championship game this year or Super Bowl this year, can you see that belief change maybe when you evaluate the general manager and the head coach?
I've never believed either that Terry Pegula would have an appetite to do that. The Bills have what most NFL teams and fan bases dream of, which is an owner, a GM, and a head coach that are aligned and successful and run a program. The Bills just don't have a team. They run a program. They have guys, they develop guys, they're good player development. You could definitely argue on draft misses by Brandon Beane like you can for any team in this league. You can definitely argue that Sean McDermott hasn't done the best job here or there. He's defensive coach and their defense gives up a lot against the run. Of course, there's a lot of things you could nitpick. But the fact is that Josh Allen's the league MVP. He's turning 30 next year. They haven't gotten ultimately over the hump, and there's a lot of questions right now. So would I ever take it off the table? No, because I think that's just what happens in sports. But I do believe that because of the success that they've had and the way that this organization has been so consistent, that Terry Pegula at this point wouldn't have an appetite to do that. Let's see how it ends, though. If they bow out in the first round, if they happen to not make the playoffs, I do think you have to start having the conversations of if the right people are in charge. But I just can't see that happening at this point.
Last thing I'll ask you, Sal Capaccio, do you anticipate that Joe Brady is a head coach next year in the NFL?
No. I think this year with Josh Allen, the number of sacks he's taking now, the offense having a lot of issues and questions, that's probably, he's lost some of his shine probably, right, in some places. But he is a young, bright guy. He was at LSU when they were setting all those records, obviously, with those great teams they had. There's rumblings about Penn State being interested in Joe Brady or another college team being interested in Joe Brady. Maybe he's back in Buffalo. I don't know if he'll be the Bills' offensive coordinator. But at this point, considering where the offense is, unless there's a run that goes on here and all of a sudden the team starts to really get moving and on the offensive side, and then they go ultimately to the Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl, something like that, I don't know if it's quite his time.
He's Sal Capaccio, Bills sideline reporter. Sal, I know it's a long night for you, so I appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, buddy.
There you go. Sal Capaccio joining us on the show. We'll take a break. When we come on back, we'll evaluate one person in the NFL and one person in college football for this weekend. You're most interested to see how we're going to be talking about them once the weekend does conclude. Update time first. Here's the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And this report is brought to you by Old Trapper. Listen up, not all beef jerky is the same. Old Trapper is better for you and higher in essential protein than chips, sugar-filled energy bars, or candy. So ask for Old Trapper by name because no other jerky compares. Old Trapper, what's your beef? Joe Burrow is listed as questionable for Sunday, but made it through a whole week of practice without any issues to his injured toe, even though Zach Taylor said he would not name a starter right now. Burrow, you would figure, should be ready to return Sunday. Aaron Rodgers is also questionable with a fractured left wrist. Mike Tomlin said they'll see where they are on Sunday, while Jackson Dart's progress in concussion protocol stalled yesterday. He has not been cleared, so Jameis Winston will start his second straight game when they meet the Lions on Sunday. Daniel Jones good to go after battling a calf injury. Isaiah Pacheco, though, is out for the Chiefs, and both Tremaine and TJ Edwards will sit for the Bears. Ramondre Stevenson is in line to play after missing time with a toe injury. The NBA Cup continues tonight with group play, and at this rate, the Thunder might just add another title. They've won 7 in a row and will take on the Jazz. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
It's time to ask the pros. You, the listener, gets asked us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. If you're listening later in the show, we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I may ask a dumb question here, and if it is a dumb question, I apologize in advance. Who is this artist, Chris Persianen? Do you have any idea who this artist is?
So the singer is Claro.
Okay, I don't know who that is.
The song Sophia by Claro was like a big hit.
Oh, no. That sounded terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah, that sounded overmodulated. Like when you drive in a car and you have the big bass and it's just like
Just too much going on?
Yeah, it was too much bass there.
It was a little remix. The original song is at 953 million streams just on Spotify right now.
And when did it come out? Do you know? Does it give you that information?
Yeah, I want to say 2020.
Okay.
I'm wrong. 2019.
2019. Okay. And this is Claro?
Yeah, like Claire, but with a O instead of an E at the end.
Claro? Okay, let's see if I ever seen this person before.
I doubt it.
27? I have never seen this person before. I'm only 31. But Claro I've never heard of. Let's see. Claro's net worth. Now, this isn't always accurate on social media.
They pull these out of a hat.
No, can we be honest? My net worth, they say, is millions and millions of dollars. I wish. Well, one day my friend sent me something. He goes, they say you make about $1 million to $5 million a year. I go, yeah, okay. I go, that's some fake news there on the internet. Claro's net worth, according to AI, very reliable source here, is not publicly available because it's a private company. Oh, so they just did not understand the question here. Let's try this again. Claro musician net worth. Let's go. Let's see. Oh, she's her net worth, according to AI, is estimated to be around $3 million as of late 2024. So about $3 million for Claro. And now there's an article. Claro built a $5 million net worth. So good for her. You like her, Claro?
Yeah, a recent album was really good. Music's good. It's not exactly what I played. Was more of like a rap producer did a remix. Her music is very much like calm.
Do you know who DJ Baby Benz is?
Barely, not really.
Okay, because according to Wikipedia, Claro is also known as DJ Baby Benz.
Oh, I've seen that on Twitter, and I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, I got no clue.
And now I still don't know. But at least,
Go make $5 million in your lifetime doing this stuff, and you still got a lot of life to live. Who am I to criticize you? Lane Kiffin. We're no longer calling him the Lane Train. It is now the Lane Plane. Where is this guy's family going? Where is he going? Where is his agent going? And they need a big plane for that agent, let me tell you. His agent is a husky fella, Mr. Sexton. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, I don't think he sits on one of those little 2 or 3 seaters, if I'm just being honest. I think that is one big plane for the Lane Plane.
Big old women.
Yeah, but man, this past now, Persiani, you texted this to me. I was on the elliptical this morning, and I'm getting fantasy football texts, and I'm getting Lane Kiffin texts. That's what my texting looked like this morning. So I'm trying to do my workout this morning on my hour elliptical ride that I do 5 or 6 days a week. And
only 5 or 6?
5 or 6, just 5 or 6. That's it.
You couldn't pump that up.
Nope. Now you're killing the joke. Nope, we're not killing the joke anymore. Let's not. I kill the joke. You don't kill the joke. I kill the joke. You don't kill the joke. But anyway, so Lane Kiffin, this plane they were meeting in Gainesville, and he may not be there as representatives. Then maybe it was in Baton Rouge. What's going on here in the article that you sent me this morning here, Chris Persiani? It was like all over the place.
So what I texted you was I saw on Twitter Graham Hall reported for Swamp 24/7.
In the swamp.
Trusted source covering the Florida Gators.
Oh, definitely are.
Florida Athletic Department officials met Thursday night with representatives of Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin. And I would think this is at the very least, a probing, a negotiating, a checking of temps.
Yeah, I would imagine. Like, at this rate, what are you talking about? This is, Lane, is this happening or not? Florida needs some answers here. They fired their coach several weeks ago. LSU, they just officially terminated Brian Kelly today. Did you see this story, Stu? On Brian Kelly?
I did, yeah.
Wasn't he terminated like 3 weeks ago? No, he officially got his termination notice today at LSU. If I'm Lane Kiffin, and I get it, he loves to be a drama whore. He loves to be the center of attention. And I understand, like, 10 years ago, you would never say to yourself, oh, don't leave Ole Miss. Like, how could you pass up Florida? How could you pass up LSU? At this rate, dude, just stay at Ole Miss. Stay at Ole Miss. That's what I would do. But he's entitled to do whatever he wants. We'll see how this goes. But I'm just going to be transparent here. I'm Lane Kiffin out. I am tired of this story. We got a deadline that may or not be the case of the Egg Bowl, which is coming up next Friday, a week from today. The plane may be in Gainesville. The plane may be at LSU and Baton Rouge. His family's at Florida one day, Baton Rouge the next day. It's just getting to be too much. It really is. Stuart, are you at this point with this story where we have sat here and we've beat this horse for the last week or two about Lane Kiffin? I get it. Huge personality, really good football coach. You got 2 mega programs, LSU, Florida. You got Ole Miss probably going to the college football playoff. At this rate, dude, just make a damn decision. If you want to be the coach of Florida, you could be the coach of Florida tomorrow. If you want to be the coach of LSU, you could be the coach of LSU tomorrow. Or if you want to stay at Ole Miss, you could stay at Ole Miss, and they'd be happy to have you. But all this differentiating reporting, and I don't even know how much reporting it is. A lot of times it's just like all these fake tweets that you see on social media, and I don't even know what to decipher what's true or what's not anymore. Like I see things that I think are true on Twitter, and then I'm sitting there, I go, is that really true? Like there was one post of his daughter at like some meeting, and I go, I don't even know how you verify that or not in Louisiana. How the heck would you know if that's true or not? So I have no clue what to believe anymore. But I'm at the rate where I really have nothing else to add to this story. The Lane plane, make a decision. Decide where you're going to land. Because to do the song and dance for another week, it's enough. Like, tap out. I'm good. Let me know. Are you tired of this story at this point, Stu, or are you enjoying all the chaos that's ensuing in college?
I was going to say, I kind of like the chaos. I know it's a little annoying that he's, here, then there, then here, then there, but...
And it may not even be him.
It might not. No, it definitely may not be him.
But Jimmy Sexton, that portly Jimmy Sexton on all those planes.
But I do think Lane's future is fascinating, and I know we want a decision soon, but I don't know. The longer it drags on, the more comical for me it is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you that it's funny, but at some point it's like, all right, my jaw is hurting from laughing at the same joke over and over and over again. All righty, let's go around the room here. One NFL and one college football person that you're interested to see how we're going to be talking about them by the end of this weekend. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Now, I don't know if he's playing or not. The last 2 days, it seemed like he was. I see the Ian Rappaport stuff. The pendulum is swinging in the direction now that Joe Flacco is going to play. But I still think even if Flacco plays, the fact that Burrow is inching closer and closer, and we knew last week that the 21-day window was activated, the fact that there's even a possibility that he was going to play this week and he's officially listed as questionable, to make the decision at some point tomorrow because they have to make the decision tomorrow. If he doesn't play this week and they lose, then I think that kind of closes the chapter on Joe Burrow returning this season, because if they're going to fall to what would be, I think, 3-8, 3-8 if they lose, why would you then trot out your franchise quarterback if you're really out of it? Like, if you get this to 4-7 this week, I'm not saying that you go win every game the rest of the season, but at least you could look at it and say, hey, we could still go out there and win 10 games before the season does end. But if you lose this week, even if you do win out and Burrow comes back and you get to 9-8, that's not going to be enough to make the postseason. So my NFL pick, it's Joe Burrow. Whether he plays or not, I'm curious that we're talking about the future of Joe Burrow for this year the rest of the way. Stu?
All right, for my NFL person, I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. He looks like he's going to play. I know he had that kind of calf scare, if you will, yesterday or the other day, whenever that came out. But they do play the Chiefs this week. The Colts are 8-2. The Chiefs are 5-5. I know the Colts have had some really nice wins this season so far. They obviously beat the Broncos. They lost to the Rams. They beat the Chargers. Lost to the Steelers. So I'm just curious. I know the Chiefs, we want to kill the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are still alive, not dead yet. And I'm curious to see on the road at Arrowhead what Daniel Jones does.
KP, what do you got?
Can I take a coach?
Yeah, any person. Could be coach, could be a front office executive, could be a portly agent, could be a player, whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh, man. You got to look at Shane Bowen, in my opinion, because I'm wondering one simple thing. Are we going to be talking about him as an employed NFL defensive coordinator after this week? And listen, everyone always says it's a tough part of the business. You don't want to root for people to be fired. But right now, this guy is on the verge. The seat, you can see the steam from a mile away. I bet Lane can see it up on the Lane plane. It's getting spicy.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. The Giants are 2-9. And Jackson Dart's not playing this week. Did you do a sound effect off your phone there for that?
No.
Oh.
No, that was an accident.
Oh, I thought when you were like talking about like, oh, the seat's on fire, I thought you played like a smoke alarm going off or something. So it actually did work well. Yeah, well, once you already fired the head coach, I don't care if the defensive coordinator stays there or not, even if you folded 2-10. All righty, college football. The college football pick that I'm going with is Dante Moore. I don't think Oregon, if they lose one of these games and they're finishing with 2 losses at the end of the season, will have a strong enough resume to make the college football playoff. This is a huge test, considering the circumstances this year in the Big Ten that it's not having the best year. You have USC and Washington to end the season. I don't think Washington is that good. I think USC is a smudge overrated. You need to have a Dante Moore moment, especially for a guy that could go in the first round of this upcoming NFL draft. I got to see Dante Moore really just go off as Oregon does play USC to continue this 1-loss season for the Ducks. Because if they get 2, I think the committee will keep them out of the college football playoffs. Stu?
All right, college football here. I'm going to go Ahmad Hardy, the running back for Missouri. They are on the road against number 8 Oklahoma, and it looks like they're not going to have their typical quarterback in Bo Prabula.
Well, actually, I think
it's questionable. He got upgraded from doubtful to questionable is the last that I saw.
Which makes me think he's going to play.
Maybe he's going to play now, yeah.
Because yesterday, it didn't sound like, well,
it's doubtful yesterday.
2 days ago, it was like, oh, he's going to play. It's looking that good. And then it gets to doubtful, and now it's seeming like he's going to play. But either way, he's not at 100%.
He's not 100%, so you want to feed your running back, Ahmad Hardy, 1,300 rushing yards on the season, the most in Division I. He also has 15 rushing touchdowns. So I'm curious to see against an Oklahoma team that's really good defensively what we're able to get from Hardy.
Yeah, especially even if he does play, there's going to be rust too. All right, Persiano, what do you got? College football, go ahead.
We got one side that has pretty much, we know what their season is going to look like the rest of the regular season. We got another that's fighting for a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Jaden Mayava, and here's why. At home, 14 touchdowns, 2 picks. On the road, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks, and a 2-2 record on the road. So how are we going to talk about him after this week? The kid who can only do it at home, or is he going to take his show on the road this week, and is USC going to be really, right on the verge of a playoff spot?
Yeah, and I know that they beat Nebraska a few weeks ago, but he didn't even play well in that game, and then you saw Raiola go down. So it'll be curious to see what he could do in Eugene going up against the Ducks. It's interesting because you're not wrong on Mayava, but I still look at like Lincoln Riley. That's the guy. Like, okay, you gonna get to the playoffs, Lincoln, or are you gonna be stinking Lincoln when it matters the most? Ralph Russo gonna join us on the other side. We will talk about all things college football with Ralph next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll connect momentarily with Ralph Russo, who does a great job as a senior college football writer for The Athletic. We're still trying to figure out where the Lane plane is today and what's going on with Lane Kiffin. Is he going to go to LSU? Is he going to go to Florida, or is he going to stay at Ole Miss? And we inch another weekend closer to conference championship weekend, rivalry weekend, and then also the Heisman Trophy being presented as well. So a lot cooking in college football. Obviously, Lane Kiffin is the biggest story, but you do got Missouri and Oklahoma. You do got USC and Oregon as some of the headliners this upcoming weekend in college football. And we should get Ralph on in just a second. And when we do, we're good. All right, let's go out to the guest line right now. Welcome in Ralph Russo, senior college football writer for The Athletic. Ralph, appreciate the time as always. How you been?
You, man, it's a busy time in college football right now.
Yeah, what does your gut tell you on Lane Kiffin? Because one day I wake up, I say he's staying at Ole Miss. The next day I say he's going to Florida. The next day I'm going to LSU, and then back to Ole Miss. So where are you at right now?
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever try to read the mind of Lane Kiffin. The reason why this stuff becomes very difficult, Zach, is it really only takes like one conversation with the family. I think I may have discussed this with you last time we were on here, and if not, I apologize. You know, it's like you try to get inside these guys' heads, but you never know if all of a sudden you sit down with the wife, or in this Lane's case, the ex-wife, and the family, the daughter and the son, and they say, "Hey, Dad, you know, we're okay with you doing this, or we would really like you to do that." And all of a sudden, that makes, you know, the light bulb goes on, and they say, "Yeah, you know, let's try to do that." We do know LSU wants him. Florida wants him. Ole Miss wants to keep him. I think Ole Miss is prepared to make him a very healthy offer. Listen, I don't think you send your family to these places to check them out if you're not seriously thinking about, leaving. So, let the actions guide you to a certain degree. As for what he'll do, it's already a weird situation. Ole Miss has told him, hey, man, we really want to know before we play again on on Black Friday against Mississippi State. So Lane Kiffin sort of holds all the cards here. And I refuse to guess what he will do. But I will say, again, the fact that he's sort of sent his family on reconnaissance missions ahead of him down to these places does suggest he is at least taking the possibility of leaving seriously.
There's so many different iterations of college football. You've seen pretty much all of them. With that being said, the last 24 hours, the thing that I'm livid about is the system. Like, if you're leaving a team to go take a bigger job, and let's just say you're playing some irrelevant bowl game, that's fine. But the fact that he could be in the college football playoff and there's a chance that he abandons these players to go take Florida or LSU, like, okay, you want to take a new job, take a new job. But the fact it's allowed that he could leave before the college football playoff, that just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, so that's a fair thing to say, Zach, but I will say this, right? Again, he's got a big extension on the table. He's already in the SEC. He already has a national championship team. So when you say he's going to take a bigger job, is he? He's got a pretty good job. Like, it's one thing and I know this is happening with other coaches around the country. I'm going to just pull a coach out of the air. If I'm Tulane coach John Summerall, and I got Auburn pressuring me, hey, man, we really need a decision from you. That's a little different.
Yeah.
I think Tulane, I think Auburn, I think a coach like John Summerall all kind of know the deal here, right? You might be able to work around it and say, hey, I'm going to stay with my team, but maybe we can announce something and we'll just see what happens here. I think everybody kind of understands that deal. When you're talking about a coach remember, the two teams that he's talking to are behind Ole Miss right now in the rankings. He's got the 6th ranked team in the country. So, again, I think that's what makes this more complicated. It's not like he's not going to get a whole lot of money from Ole Miss. You're right. The system isn't great because there really is no system. You couldn't do this in the NFL. But I don't want to take all the responsibility away from the coach himself in this and other situations because he already has a really good job.
Well, let me ask you this, and I agree with you in terms of last year when this was talked about. I said I wouldn't leave Ole Miss right now to go to Florida. Now Florida has popped back up. LSU is into the fold. I guess they officially just terminated Brian Kelly today. You got all this stuff with the governor, new AD, new president. Like, this has all been all over the place. But I look at it and I say, hey, LSU, since 2000, they've had 3 different coaches win national championships. How do you think people are viewing the LSU job right now?
Yeah, so I think the day or the days where all that drama played out, I'll say what I said then, which is this doesn't look great. I'm not sure if this possibly could make some coaches a little hesitant to come to LSU because who is my boss? Am I going to have to answer to the governor? The governor's complaining about my future contract. Is that going to impact it? All that said, LSU is not going to get out of the game of trying to win national championships. So as long as you can have a clear boss, and they have a president now, president of the university, they have an athletic director now. That was hazy, literally, at the time that they fired Brian Kelly. If you can get assurances that, hey, Gov, you're not going to be meddling with the football team, I think LSU is still going to pay top line. So I'm not worried that all of a sudden LSU is going to have nobody who wants to come coach LSU, or they're going to have to go hire some high school coach. That's not going to happen. But I do wonder if you have a good job, if there's a little bit of hesitancy to give up the good job that you have to step into some uncertainty at LSU. And I'm sure that's very much what Lane Kiffin is going to have to weigh. Like, I have a good job. LSU might be an upgrade in some ways, but is there uncertainty here in alignment, and who am I answering to? I would think that LSU needs to explain that to Lane Kiffin.
We did a segment.
Or anybody else, for that matter.
Sure. Ralph Russo here with us. We did a segment the other day. If Lane doesn't leave, like, what happens to LSU? What happens to Florida? I threw out Kenny Dillingham, regardless of what he said, for LSU. And then Florida, I didn't love the name that I gave, but I ended up going with Jedd Fisch. Who do you think are some possible names for Florida and LSU if the Lane plane says I'm staying in Oxford, Mississippi?
So I think Jedd Fisch is probably a pretty good guess as whether he is the guy. I think he is probably one of the guys that will be on the list. Jed at Florida, Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri, I could see in the mix at both of these places. The Dillingham thing, Zach, I'm going to believe Kenny. And maybe I'll be proved wrong. I think he is young enough, has a good enough situation there. That's his alma mater. That, like, if he's going to come out and say, hey, man, I kind of want to be here. I think I'm good. I'm going to take him at his word because I think it means something to him to be the person who goes back on his word, to be the person who, like, basically will be accused of, like, crushing your alma mater on the way out. So listen, Kenny's stock is rising, and I understand why people would still kick them tires, but I'm going to take him for his word. As for who would end up at LSU, plan B, the name Jeff Brom has come up again. Dillingham, I wouldn't be shocked if they sort of looked into Clark Lee, though that does from Vanderbilt, though that does not sound like a really good fit for me. Again, like, I have no doubt that LSU will find itself a good coach, but who's sort of in the plan B list? I'm not sure they really. I think Florida especially. But LSU, I'm not sure. I think they put both of those schools have put a lot of energy into Lane. So I'm not sure how well they have developed the plan B list.
When we get to Penn State, do you think it will either be Eli Drinkwitz or Bob Chesney as the next head football coach? One of those two at this point?
I think that's a solid betting odds. Here's what I would say on Penn State. I think there's been enough. Is quietness the right word? I feel like there has been enough, like, not like there's a little bit of a lack of information coming out of there that makes me wonder if there's something up the sleeve there that we're not seeing. How about that? And again, that's just me reading tea leaves, because with the experience of how sometimes these things work, right? It seems like they've done a good job of keeping the wraps on what they're working on there. I've heard Pat Fitzgerald's name come up there, though, quite frankly, if they wanted Pat Fitzgerald, they could hire him today or tomorrow, right? We saw this model with Virginia Tech and James Franklin. They understood the value of getting out ahead of something. And since Franklin was available, they did it. It's good to move things along right now. You have a little more time to assess the roster and to make sure guys don't get in the portal, see what's in the portal. So as much as you hear chatter about Pat Fitzgerald, who's on the sideline like James Franklin was at Penn State, I find myself thinking if they really wanted to hire Pat Fitzgerald, they would just hire Pat Fitzgerald. The Bob Chesney thing, I think, is interesting. I don't know if that would have necessarily been their first choice, but I could see them sort of not fumbling, but backing into a really good choice, even though it might not have been Penn State's first choice.
Now, I was a big proponent of James Franklin's time coming to an end at Penn State. With that being said, I think he maxed out at Penn State for what he is as a coach. I think him going to Virginia Tech is a great landing spot because it's not in the Big Ten. It's not in the SEC. I know he's had success in both those conferences, but you could go win 8, 9, 10 games a year at Virginia Tech, win a conference championship here or there, and it's viewed a whole lot differently than what it was happening at Penn State. Is this a home run hire for you when you look at it for both sides?
Yeah, I'm always a little hesitant to put that home run term on things because sometimes you never know how things work out, right? Like maybe we'll find out Yeah. In 5 years, we may find out, or maybe less than that, 2 or 3 years, maybe we'll find out, you know what, it would have been best for James to take a step away, gather himself, do some self-assessment. But I understand why he got back in. There's so many good jobs out there, and he's really motivated to do so. I agree. This looks like a really good fit. You have a very well-accomplished coach who has always been a good program builder. Again, we can all say, what happened whether it was right or wrong, what happened at Penn State. Maybe it was time for those two sides to go in different directions. But nobody at Penn State was complaining the program was falling apart behind the scenes. The culture was disintegrating. James didn't have control. He was melting down. I think you heard a lot of things about the bad fit for Brian Kelly at LSU and why that didn't work out. I don't think that was the case with Penn State and James Franklin. So you bring a program builder who's got good ties to recruiting in the area down there, the DMV area. You would think that, as you said, the other part of it, there's opportunity to win in the ACC. And that's a program that they love football. They have a big stadium. They fill that stadium. There's motivation for Virginia Tech to be good at football, even though it's been a bit of a rough ride for them. It does seem like this is a good match, that he is at least capable of getting Virginia Tech into position where it can contend for ACC championships. And I think, unlike at Penn State, he will be appreciated for that, where I think Penn State was no longer appreciating, hey, we're just going to be in the mix for the Big Ten.
Wrap it up with Ralph Russo. So Oklahoma had the huge win last week up against Alabama. They wrap up the season with Missouri and LSU. Do you anticipate this team being 10-2 at the end of the regular season?
I do, though. This week's game, we're talking about Bo Perbula possibly playing. I was at that Vanderbilt game when he got injured, and I think a lot of us thought, well, that takes care of poor Bo. But if he plays, now you have I don't know. Listen, he had a pretty severe ankle injury, and if his mobility is limited, well, that's a big part of his game. That said, the backup is a freshman, and I'll take my chances with a limited Bo Perbula, who's played a lot of football, against a freshman quarterback making his the second or third start against Brent Venables' defense. So if Bo is playing, and it sounds like it's trending that way, I think these teams are a lot closer than maybe we realize. Oklahoma's got the number 1 defense in the SEC. Missouri, I believe, has the number 2 by yards per play. So despite the big win last week, I would be a little hesitant to just pencil in Oklahoma, and they're on the fast track to the playoff now. I think this will be a heavy lift for them, the Sooners, on Saturday against Mizzou.
For Oregon, they have USC, then Washington. They have 1 loss on the season. Before the season, you feel like, all right, 2 losses or fewer, you're in the college football playoff. But with their resume being what it is, does Oregon have to win out to make the playoff this year?
I don't think it has to, but I just don't think you don't have to create some wild scenarios where there's a pretty good stockpile of 10-2 teams. I mean, we just mentioned Oklahoma, maybe Vanderbilt. Like the SEC could end up with 6 teams sitting there 10-2, 11-1. You throw in what's going on with the Big 12, and what if BYU wins, and then Texas Tech is an at-large pool. We still doing this whole Miami and Notre Dame thing. I would say Oregon is.
I don't want to interrupt you, but you know what's funny with the Notre Dame thing? It's like an unwritten rule that if Notre Dame's 2 losses or fewer, with the way that this playoff format was created, that they're getting in every year. People just aren't mentioning this when they're talking about the Notre Dame-Miami debate. And the only reason Notre Dame had to win out last year because they lost to NIU. If they lose to respectable programs, which they did this year, 2 losses or fewer Notre Dame was designed to get into this playoff.
I think to a certain degree, yes. Though, again, if you look at the log jam at 10-2, I think everybody has to be a little uncomfortable, whether you're Notre Dame or Oregon. And I know everybody thinks Notre Dame gets a benefit of the doubt. Frankly, Notre Dame's played really, really well. I mean, I've been on the Miami side of this argument, like, hey, why is Miami getting shut out and not Notre Dame? But I think my argument has been more of, it's not necessarily Miami or Notre Dame. Why can't it be both? When you talk about Oregon, I would not be comfortable any of these teams sliding into that 10-2 mix. If I can avoid that, and if I'm Oregon and I can avoid it by knocking out USC, getting myself to 11-1, feeling real comfortable about that. That's probably best for Oregon, because you're right. I just think that, like, once you start weighing these resumes and eye test and all that stuff with like 6, 10, and 2 teams, why do you want to put yourself through that stress?
Last thing I'll ask you, just to throw a dart on the board. We don't know who's going to win their conferences and what the seeding's going to look like. If you just had to give me the 2 teams that you think will be in the national championship game this year, who do you think those 2 teams would be?
Oh, that's a cool question. I'm going to say Ohio State and Georgia. I feel like Ohio State has separated itself to a certain degree. And that's no offense to Indiana, and we'll see those 2 teams play most likely in the Big Ten championship game. And I'm not going to, doubt Coach Siggs can't pull one off there. I like what I've seen out of Georgia in terms of progress throughout the season. The other thing too, Zach, is I know Georgia has athletes that will look like Ohio State's athletes, right? Maybe they don't have the Jeremiah Smith at wide receiver, and maybe they don't have exactly Caleb Downs at safety and Arvell Reese at linebacker, but there's enough 5 stars, there's enough high-level NFL caliber athletes that if I get Georgia on the field with anybody in the playoff, they're not going to be athletically overwhelmed the way I fear Ohio State can do to some other teams, because they're just so stacked.
It's funny that you mentioned Georgia, just because all year I feel like we've just been saying Georgia's vulnerable. They find a way to win against Tennessee. They find a way to pull it out against Ole Miss. I said the same thing yesterday. I would love to be Georgia right now. Like, I think Georgia's humming, and I think a lot of us wrote them off, and they could be a scary team come playoff time.
The big thing, Zach, is this happened with Saban's teams too, to a certain degree. You get compared to yourself. Yeah. This is not 2021 Georgia. It's not 2022 Georgia that basically had, I don't know, the Philadelphia Eagles defense. What was that Georgia defense? Just go look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. That's what Georgia had on defense in those years. It's not quite that level Georgia, but they're still really good compared to the rest of the country, even if they are a step behind what they were in 4 years ago.
He is a senior college football writer for The Athletic, one of the best in the business, Ralph Russo. Ralph, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Always appreciate you, Zach.
Thanks. You go. Yep, you got it. There you go, Ralph Russo with us. We'll take a break. We'll come on back in 5 minutes. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. This NBA preview is brought to you by eBay. eBay is home to millions of finds, and each one becomes part of your story. From your favorite vintage band tee to the dream car you've been searching for, it's all there. eBay, things people love. The Nuggets visit the Rockets tonight in group play of the NBA Cup. Oh, yeah, the NBA Cup, baby. Nikola Jokic comes in averaging 29.1 points per game, 13.2 rebounds, and 11.1 assists per game. Kevin Durant comes in averaging 25.5 points and 4.5 rebounds per game. 888-710-4ISN, 888-710-4476. The last 4 years, Mike in Abilene, Texas, has been calling this show, and he gives a prediction on Ohio State, Michigan. He is 0 for 4. I don't know if that stat is verified, but I know he's a huge Ohio State fan, and one of our favorites, Mike in Abilene, Texas, is next up on the Zach Gelb Show. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Zachary, best on the waves, brother. Couple things we need to get to. First and foremost, you know me. I always hop on the channel and listen just to kind of see if you have, if you continue to talk about what we talked about. And if I'm being completely honest, to hear how I sounded on the airwaves, It has come to my attention that you are absolutely correct. I have confused in a fit of joyous rage over my fandom. I have confused Samter with Hickey.
Yes.
So apologies there.
Let me tell you, Mike.
Said it and I was just like, wait.
You were the first person, I think, in the history of life to confuse Samter and Hickey. but I was getting a kick out of it. I was.
It was, and I was like, how did I do that? And I was just like, man, you were just so fired up about Penn State, and you heard, Samter was going off about Quinshawn, and I was like, I just connected those two imaginary dots,
Mm-hmm. You know what? They're both like flies. So that's probably why you confuse them, and you're just like swatting them away, and they were just annoying you. So that's probably why.
Yeah, I think that was it. The second thing is, man, exciting college football. I like your Ohio State Georgia call. I think I like that one. Georgia's flying under the radar. They're in a perfect position, and they're not being talked about enough. They're being kind of verbally downplayed, I feel like, and that to me is a recipe for them showing up and doing to everybody this year what we did to everybody last year. Mm-hmm. And thirdly, I am very grateful for our friendship, Zachary. You are good at sticking me with your verbal wordplay on certain current situations. It can't. Like, it just can't happen again. It literally cannot happen again.
But you know what's crazy, Mike? I said that last year.
There's a chance. That's what's crazy.
No, but I really don't think there's a chance. But last year, I really thought there wasn't a chance. And Michigan last year, if you recall, they couldn't even complete a forward pass. But then Ryan Day and Chip Kelly both got in their own cabezas. And then Michigan with Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham just dominated the trenches. And then the running back situation was good last year. But with Haynes getting hurt, I just look at it and I say to myself, yeah, Marshall's a really good back, don't get me wrong. But I if you guys don't win this year, if you don't, even though Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith, that may be 100%, but if you don't win this year, man, let me tell you, Mike, I would hate to see it. I would hate to see it if I'm just being honest with you.
Well, you will feel the self-implosion all the way from the East Coast. I will tell you that much, because the earthquake that'll happen from me morphing into the Hulk with enough rage to quench the sun will be. You'll feel it. You'll just feel a little rumble.
If I can make one request, right? We're in the holiday spirit. Thanksgiving's coming up. Christmas and Hanukkah is around the corner. I know your wife thinks I'm an acquired taste probably by hearing how much you listen to us. If just so happens, that Michigan team beats Ohio State, just tell her to roll the camera and send it to me somehow. I would love to see you all somber coming up on Thursday or Friday.
You're on speaker and my wife is listening, because you're absolutely right. She has commented several times on what she calls one of my boyfriends, because I spend so much time speaking to you on the airwaves. Also, I live vicariously through her. I don't really do the whole social media thing. It's for the youngins, and I just don't really do it. But she does. Oh. And so through her, I have seen some of your social media, and I do have a LinkedIn. And I will tell you that if you can remember your password to your LinkedIn, which, judging by your profile picture, you don't remember, you have a new friend request on your LinkedIn, Zachary Gelb. And
from you or your wife?
The mystery. From me, because I do have a LinkedIn for my profession. Mm-hmm. You will see and solve the mystery of what Mike from Abilene looks like. You once said you kind of imagine Casey from Yellowstone, and that is so far not what I
Well, that can't
like
be me.
All, so
that had to be Sam Hickey that threw out that, because I've never seen Yellowstone.
It was probably one of those guys, one of those bums.
So, yeah, one of those bums. So I am in on LinkedIn right now. Oh, yeah, it's a photo when I was in either high school or college interviewing Adam Sandler.
Yeah, 8th grade it looks like.
Yeah, that's...
Have you always been a giant?
Yeah, I've always been a gargantuan human being. So how do I even...
Gotcha.
So my network, I'm trying to see the friend request part. Okay, I am in the friend request. Oh, Pete the Body Bilotti, I haven't accepted him. Let's go. Here we go. Well, I'm just looking for Mike. That's what I'm looking for?
Last name starts with a B. I'll be I'm pretty dashing, I'm not going to lie.
There is another...
I'm going to take your breath away.
There is another... Last name begins with the B. Mike in Abilene, Texas is a good-looking dude now. I wasn't expecting this. You're like Jack, dude. I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting you to be like a large guy that's sitting in front of the TV each and every year when Michigan plays Ohio State with like a fat bowl of ice cream and a doobie, and like crying each and every year when Michigan beats your ass.
Well, you don't have the ice cream part right, but no, I'm an athlete, brother. I'm 6'2", and I come from a long line of collegiate athletes. Not myself included, but I can compete with collegiate athletes. In fact,
a lot of people probably say that you're lucky to have your wife. I think your wife's lucky to have you.
Oh, I love that. See, she's laughing right now, so I'm glad. Yeah, trust me, you're absolutely right. And if we mention it too much, then she'll start to question how it happened, and then we'll be in trouble. So we keep it on the down low. We don't really bring that up. But yeah, man. Hey, listen. The prediction is it ends now, and I mean, depending on how we handle that game mentally, because as a coach and as an athlete, the mental aspect of sports is the biggest. It really, really is. If you cannot get out of your own head, that's what makes rivalries so awesome. And that's what makes college football rivalries the best rivalries, because people that don't watch college football don't understand why anyone in their right mind would trade ending the slide for possibly a natty. But hey, here we are. 2025, Mike in Abilene, Texas feels absolutely that same way. The only thing that saves this fool's job is if he wins the natty and or beats Michigan, and literally has to beat Michigan first. So,
well, two things. Number one, next Saturday when they play, I need the wife rolling the camera if Michigan's up late in the fourth quarter to get your reaction. Number two, since we have a radio relationship here, I just want to let you know I would still be Big Spoon, okay?
I think scientifically there's no other way around it, brother. Energy and personality aside, I think even as a 6'2", man, you look way bigger than I do. So
yeah, well, you got it. Mike in Abilene, Texas. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays to you and your family. Thanks so much. There is Mike in Abilene, Texas. I was not expecting Mike in Abilene, Texas, to look like this.
I need a high young guy.
He is jacked. Mike in Abilene, Texas. I thought for sure he was going to be like a fat slob sitting in front of the TV just crying each and every year when Ryan Day puts him into a tizzy when Michigan just beats his team like a drum. Oh, man. He made me log on to my LinkedIn. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here. Let's take a break. We'll come on back. We'll do a news brief on the other side. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And this report is brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance, who protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. At 3-7, the Bengals need a lot to make the playoffs. Having a healthy Joe Burrow as a start, the Pro Bowl quarterback has made it through a week of practice and officially questionable for Sunday. He is in line to make the first start since week 2, though head coach Zach Taylor would not name his starter. The Bengals have gone 1-7 in his absence. Mike Tomlin said they'll see where they are on Sunday regarding Aaron Rodgers, who is listed as questionable with his fractured left wrist. Jackson Dart will miss his second straight game. The Giants quarterback has yet to be cleared from concussion protocol, so Jameis Winston will start. The Colts' Daniel Jones good to go after battling a minor calf injury. Isaiah Pacheco is out for the Chiefs. Both Tremaine and TJ Edwards are out for the Bears, and the Jaguars have ruled out both defensive end Trayvon Walker and receiver Brian Thomas Jr., while Ramondre Stevenson is in line to play after missing time with a toe injury. The Thunder go for their 8th in a row tonight in NBA Cup play against the Utah Jazz. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The fun continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All righty, news brief time. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Bills fall last night to the Texans. Let's hear from the Bills quarterback Josh Allen on the struggles that the offense did have to open up Week 12.
Hindsight's 2020. Ultimately, we got to execute, and we didn't do a good enough job of that tonight. Whatever situation, whatever circumstance, we gotta put our head down and find a way there. And on the field, we didn't.
And then Josh Allen also takes blame for the 8 sacks that did happen to his offense.
Yeah, it's not fun. I ran into a couple myself. I got to be better with throwing the ball away and living to see another down and letting us play some situational football and pinning them deep. And too many times I was going backwards, and I got to be better on that.
And then late in the game on a 4th down stop, Josh Allen was seen mouthing to his teammates, "What are we doing?" This is Josh Allen explaining that situation.
I mean, just frustration on my part. In a situation like that, probably should have just banged a timeout. Just getting. We got the plan late. Didn't give ourselves a chance there.
And let's get to Sean McDermott. I'm sure he always has a ton of answers. Let's go to him on what went wrong in the game last night.
Field position wise, we beat ourselves from a field position standpoint. Some costly penalties, the turnovers, 3 turnovers. Just look at it overall, and we weren't playing enough complementary football, and we still had a chance to win at the end of the game. But plenty of things we need to work on.
So that's the disappointing side of things. Now let's get to the joyous side of things. D'Amico Ryans does chime in on his team's awesome defensive performance.
First and foremost, our defensive line. Like, for the way they go out, the way those guys relentlessly rush the passer, and everybody on the back end is playing sound and playing together. When we do that, we're tough to move the ball again. So our players are doing an outstanding job.
It's amazing how Davis Mills keeps on winning these games. Big reason for it is because of the defense, and Davis Mills knows that in the absence of one C.J. Stroud.
I think they're definitely the best defense in the NFL. After personal experience of going against them the past couple of years, those guys come to play every single day. They work as hard as they can every day when they're in the building, out on the practice field. And, I think the way they work and the mentality that they have, just the swarm mentality, it shows up on game day.
All right, let's get to the Seahawks. I know last week the story was Sam Darnold and all those turnovers. If I would have told you, Stu, that entering this week that the Seahawks actually lead the NFL in turnovers with 20 this season, would you have believed that with how much we've been praising Sam Darnold?
I would not. I really would not. And I even the interceptions, I know he had a lot last week, but overall it doesn't seem like he had that many. Didn't seem like they have a lot of fumbling issues. So the fact that they lead the league is, to me, is insane.
Yeah, just kind of crazy. I was kind of startled by that when I did see it. Here's Sam Darnold and the Seahawks turnover issues.
It's unacceptable. We understand as an offense we have to be better. I have to be better protecting the football, and we're doing everything that we can in practice and when the game comes to try to take care of the football a little bit better.
All righty, let's go to Lamar Jackson. He was asked about getting sacked 23 times up to this point this season, even though he's been in and out of the lineup.
Damn, gotta talk to the offensive line about that, man. I'm gonna holler at my guys about that, man. I ain't trying to, talk to my guys about that.
Could you imagine if a different quarterback did that? I don't know. That was Sam Darnold after the game, just crushing his offensive line. We'd be crushing Sam Darnold. But I don't know. I feel like we haven't been crushing Lamar Jackson for that this week. Let's go to A.J. Brown. Jeez. This is reality TV. A.J. Brown. How Lane Kiffin's made for reality TV, so is A.J. Brown. Like, if I'm starting a diva wide receiver show, A.J. Brown may be the star of that. A.J. Brown, are the Eagles close to figuring out the offense? Let's hear from A.J.
I think we are. I think that's the mindset to have. I think it's just really just cleaning up those mistakes. It's not about just being close. It's just really just finishing drives, defense been playing incredible, and we're just trying to do our part, and that starts with the things that it takes no talent, as Nick says all the time.
We don't know if Joe Burrow is going to play this week. He's been practicing. I did see Ian Rappaport said the pendulum swinging back in the direction that Joe Flacco's going to actually play over Joe Burrow. Here is T. Higgins on how Joe Burrow is looking at practice.
Joe's been looking good. I mean, he looked good last week when he was practicing. I'm happy for him. Just to get his feet back wet, and it's been good.
All right, let's get to Josh Jacobs. Packers just played at MetLife Stadium. Obviously, Josh Jacobs in and out, and he did call out the field and the turf at MetLife Stadium like everyone else does.
I think you're the first player ever to get hurt on MetLife and only miss one day of practice.
Man.
Where does that rank on your favorite stadium surfaces?
Definitely the worst. It's always been the worst. And I know if I ever play there again, I would never talk about it because I talked about it all week, how bad it was, and it bit me in the ass. So.
Yeah, it's just like, tell me another day that ends at Y at this point with how many people complain about the turf at MetLife Stadium. Let's go to the Triple Option Podcast. They weren't talking about me this week. Last time we played the Triple Option Podcast, Urban Meyer wanted to shoot down my report that he was interested in the Penn State job. It's funny, since I've responded to Urban and issued him a challenge, he hasn't responded to that. Why is that? I wonder, because I'm right and Urban's wrong, and he knows that I'm right. Here is Mark Ingram, though, and I like this podcast anyway. I like Mark Ingram. I'm a fan of him. He's on the Triple Option podcast, right, as one of the co-hosts, and he did discuss the former Heisman Trophy winning running back on Alabama dropping all the way to 10 in the CFP after their loss to Oklahoma.
I mean, they deserve that. You go in and have 3 turnovers, botch, snap, hold, and kick. When you lose a game like that and it's very self-inflicted against a good Oklahoma defense who, obviously forced the turnovers, obviously you're going to slide and you're going to be behind the team you lost to. So 2 losses, it's fair for them to be in there. They're lucky they're not lower.
And then let's continue here with the college football analysis nonstop at Kirk Herbstreit and Joey Galloway. Kirk Herbstreit on the Miami versus Notre Dame saga.
Miami has that head-to-head, but then they lose to Louisville at home, and they lose on the road at SMU. At what point does a head-to-head not carry the weight based on the other games that a team loses?
Yeah, I think. Yep,
is
I agree with
SMU
you.
ranked this week? Is Louisville ranked this week? Neither team is
No,
ranked. So you
neither
lose
team
to
is
2
ranked.
teams unranked.
Absolutely
when you
right.
control your own destiny, really. I mean, at
Yeah.
what point do you not hold on to week 1, a 3-point victory when you've lost a couple games to teams you were favored over?
Here's what I don't get, Stu, in this Miami Notre Dame debate. And I don't know, Herbstreit wasn't clear to me on that. It seems like he was just saying all the sides of it and didn't really give an opinion. If you're going to say, like, when does the loss matter? And then you're also going to say, well, the other losses, obviously Notre Dame has better losses because it's Miami and A&M, and Miami's losses are SMU and Louisville. But then when one of the losses are Notre Dame, that enhances Miami, even if you're going to say, well, their losses stink. Well, your loss was to the team that we're saying that their losses, those teams stink. So it's just almost I'm at a point where I don't get why people are tiptoeing around the fact that this playoff was designed for basically a spot reserved for Notre Dame as long as they were 2 losses or fewer each and every year, right?
Yeah, it was almost one of those things where, the fact that I guess they're closer now in the rankings, I guess more people are talking about it, but I agree. I just thought the whole time if they have 2 losses, they're going to get in, unless something crazy, really crazy happens. But
and Miami's the first ranking. Miami already had the 2 losses. Yeah, because they were 18.
Yeah, they were 18. Yeah, exactly.
So in what world is this going to change from the first to now, where people now anticipate Miami to jump over Notre Dame if you want the committee to be consistent? It's not. All righty, let's get to Dana White. He was on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Scholes, and you had this whole betting thing all across sports, leagues getting flagged for people throwing matches or throwing games to help out others. Dana White on the betting issue in the UFC. This was a fascinating story.
I literally went in the back and called the FBI. Now there's a full-blown investigation. I will be the one that will bury you. The day of the fight, which was a couple weeks ago, the bet monitoring system hit us up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they said there's some irregular going on with this fight. The guy that they were betting on to lose in the first round was a 4-1 favorite or 3-1 favorite or something like that to win the fight. Got it. Called the fighter and his lawyer. They're already at the apex, warming up, and said, there's some irregular betting going on you right now to lose in the first round. Are you hurt? Because the guy could be hurt, and guys in his team know it, but nobody else knows it. Do you owe anybody money? Has anybody asked you to throw a fight?
You asked him this before the fight?
Yeah. They said, no. What? This is weird. No, absolutely not. I'm going to kill this guy, blah, 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 blah. So we said, okay. So we let the fight go, and then we're sitting there, and the fight goes to the ground. The kid gets his back, and I'm like, he's got him in a rear naked choke. So I call my chief operating officer. I said, he's got his back. Oh, he got out of it. Oh, no, he's back in it. Oh, that fight's over. Finished. And my chief operating officer goes, mother.
What a wild story. If that's really true how it did go down, that is wild, wild, wild. All righty, that's a news brief. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We have a statement from the Ole Miss athletic director, Keith Carter. Remember, him and Lane had a meeting today. Coach Kiffin and I have many pointed and positive conversations regarding his future at Ole Miss, including meeting today with Chancellor Boyce. While we discuss next steps, we know we cannot lose sight of what is most important, our 6th-ranked team that is poised to finish the regular season in historic fashion. Despite the outside noise, Coach Kiffin is focused on preparing our team for the Egg Bowl, and together we want to ensure that our players and coaches can concentrate fully on next Friday's game. This team is on the cusp of an unprecedented season, and it's imperative they feel the support of the Ole Miss family in the weekend ahead. An announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game. Dun, 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 dun. So, this either goes one of two ways. You win the Egg Bowl, I'm not effing leaving. You win the Egg Bowl, I'm leaving. Not like you could lose, but let's just play it as if they win. If you're going to drag this, like if I'm an AD and you know that the announcement's coming after Saturday, and I'm assuming he knows what the answer is at this point. If he's leaving, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. Bye-bye. Like, I'm not protecting your ass here. I read this, and for most of this statement, I'm saying to myself, oh, he's leaving. Oh, he gone. He gone. He gone. He gone. And then when you say an announcement on Coach Kiffin's future is expected the Saturday following the game, it makes me say, seems like he's staying. Unless if this AD is this much of a stunad that he's going to just not let Lane tell him, and then everyone's just going to find out on Saturday. If that's the case, he's leaving. But off that statement, at the end of that statement, my gut tells me he's staying. But for most of that statement, I thought he was leaving. But the way that statement ended, I'm saying he's staying. Should I stay or should I go? What the heck is Lane going to do? Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond. He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show. It is a Friday, so each and every Monday and Friday, we do a little onside, offside. Let's get that rocking and rolling, jamming on out in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
All righty, Stewie. What do we got cooking?
All right, Zach. So the Texans and Bills kicked off Week 12 last night, and it was Houston that came away with the victory by a score of 23-19. Josh Allen followed up his 6-touchdown performance against the Bucs last weekend with 0 passing touchdowns, 0 rushing touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and was sacked 8 times. Onsides, offsides, this Bills team will either miss the playoffs entirely or lose in the wild card round.
A few years ago, if you recall, they got smacked by the Bengals. I think that was in the divisional round? Yeah, I think that was in the divisional round. So they didn't go out on wild card weekend. So that's just something that stood out to me. Yeah, they beat Miami that wild card weekend. I think that was the game where Mike McDaniel may or may not had a pen on the sideline, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, that actually happened. This is not trending to be in a good spot, but here's the thing. If they're a wild card team, you could maybe play either the Broncos, the Patriots, the Colts, or the Steelers. Like those could be, or the Ravens. Like those could be one of the opponents you may play. I think the Bills will make the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to go to the Super Bowl. I don't even know if they're going to do an AFC Championship game. But with Josh Allen as your quarterback, you can't have one Superman performance where you win one playoff game of the wild card round with the division champions may not be the strongest of the bunch. So this Bills team will either miss the playoffs or will lose in the wild card round. I'm going to say they will make the playoffs, and I say they get to the divisional round. So I'm going to go offsides on that one.
Offsides.
All right, with Dylan Gabriel's concussion, we get Shedeur Sanders starting Sunday against the Raiders. His first career NFL start. He is going against a Raiders defense that has given up 30 points on 5 different occasions this season so far, and they've given up 40 points or more twice. Onside to offside, Shedeur will have at least 2 touchdowns on Sunday against the Raiders.
Do the Shedeur Sanders. Woo! Love Rick Ross sound effects, by the way. Shedeur Sanders will have at least 2 touchdowns on Sunday against the Raiders. Justina Anderson's on line 1. Justina, what do you say? Oh, lost her. I don't know where she went. She's a Shedeur Sanders super fan. I told you earlier in the week, I like the Cleveland Browns plus the 4 points. Now, doesn't mean Shedeur's going to have, you know what? Yeah, he'll have 2 touchdowns. If I like him plus the 4 points, I'm going to say it's going to be sloppy, but we'll see 2 touchdowns by Shedeur Sanders. I hope on Monday, Shedeur lights it up, and then Monday it's like spent just all. Monday could be a crazy day of radio, folks. You will either have Shedeur Sanders playing like a bum, and everyone's going to say, see, he's a bust. Or he's going to light it up, and then that's where you really have fights. Because the people that think he's a bum will still be stubborn, and then the people that have been told he's been a bum for the last year are then going to be freaking out and thinking he's like the next coming of Tom Brady. I was going to say a biblical figure there, but I said, avoided around that one. So Shedeur Sanders will have at least 2 touchdowns on Sunday against the Raiders. Yeah, it's the Raiders, dude. You know how this works. That's going to be like 40-10. Onsides.
Very possible. The Bears, under first-year head coach Ben Johnson, are one of the hottest teams in the league. After losing their first 2 games of the season, Chicago has won 7 out of 8, including 3 straight, to propel themselves to first in the NFC North with a record of 7-3. Caleb Williams has 13 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. The Bears as a team are averaging the 2nd most rushing yards per game and the 4th most total yards per game in the NFL this season. Onsides, offsides, the Bears will win a playoff game this season.
So the 3 crazy games against 3 bad teams right now, and the Bengals, the Giants, and Vikings, where they weren't dominant in any of the 3, but they've won those 3. So give them credit for winning games that they would not have won last year. Now they play the Steelers. They're at the Eagles, at the Packers. They play the Browns. They play the Packers, the 49ers, and the Lions. Are they even going to make the playoffs? That's a question. Like, they're 7-3. You got to make the playoffs. You're expected to now. But I still question if they're even going to make the playoffs. So you're saying to me, will they make the playoffs and win a playoff game? I can't sit here and tell you that I think they're going to win a playoff game this year, so I'm going offsides.
All right, speaking of the Bears, they take on the Steelers on Sunday. Both teams, to the surprise of many, are currently leading their divisions, but both, at the moment, are not favored to win their divisions. The Steelers are at plus 265 to win the AFC North on DraftKings, while Baltimore remains the favorite at minus 310.
And Rodgers has this wrist injury.
He does.
His left wrist.
And the Bears, as we just talked about, they are 3rd in the odds to win the NFC North at plus 390, behind the Packers and Lions, both whom are at plus 130 to win the NFC North. Onsides, offsides, the Steelers are the most likely division leader right now to ultimately not win their division at season's end.
So if I just look at it, right now the Patriots are leading their division. If the Pats win this weekend, they'll be 10-2. Buffalo just lost last night. They're 7-4. Patriots already beat the Bills once. I'm feeling good about the Patriots winning the AFC East. AFC South, Colts are 8-2. Jaguars are 6-4. Texans 6-5. I still think the Colts win their division. The Broncos are 9-2. Is it plausible that the Chargers catch them? I guess they're 7-4. Chiefs are 5-5. Chiefs won't be winning this division. I would still say it's the Broncos. The Eagles are 8-2. I don't even need to tell you anybody else in that division. The Buccaneers are 6-4. The Panthers are getting interesting. The Panthers do play the 49ers. And then the Rams. Let's see where we're talking about the Panthers in 2 weeks. I would still lean Tampa Bay. And the Rams are 8-2. They just beat the Seahawks. I know the San Francisco 49ers are 7-4. So, could those 2 teams catch the Rams? Yeah, it's definitely possible. For me, this question is between the Steelers and it is between the Bears. And if I tell you that the Ravens could win that division, you could see it, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But if I tell you the Steelers are going to win that division, you could still see the Steelers win that division.
Yes.
If I tell you the Bears are going to win the division, does that just sound right to you?
Feels a little early for the Bears to win that division.
Even though they're 7-3, and the Packers don't look great, and they're 6-3-1, and the Lions are struggling, and they're 6-4. Yeah, That's the one that doesn't sound right. So the Steelers are the most likely division leader right now to ultimately not win their division at season's end. I'm going to go offsides, and I think the most likely one to not win the division is going to be the Bears.
Offside.
While there are some great games this weekend in the NFL, we also have some contenders going up against some subpar teams as well. Your Patriots visit the 3-7 Bengals, who are without Jamar Chase.
That spitter.
But could have a returning Joe Burrow. I guess we will see. The Seahawks, after their loss to the Rams, go to Nashville to take on the 1-9 Titans, who have yet to win a home game this season. And the Ravens, winners of 4 straight, host the 2-8 Jets. Onsides, offsides between the Patriots, Seahawks, and Ravens. One of them will lose this week.
I got to think the Ravens beat the lousy Jets, even they're going to Tyrod Taylor. I would love to see the Jets actually win this weekend, because then we could just shut Pat Boyle up for the rest of the season about that bizarre love that he has for Justin Fields. The Seahawks, they go and play the Tennessee Titans. So they're playing a JV team. I like Seattle. I'm a little concerned about my Pats this weekend. I know there's no Jamar Chase. I know it's old man Joe Flacco. Probably. I'm going to assume that Burrow doesn't play. But, like, New England's offense is solid. Bengals defense stinks. I'm going to say that between the Patriots, Seahawks, and Ravens, one of them will lose this week. I'm going to go offsides. I think we're going to see the Pats, Seahawks, and Ravens continue to jam on out.
Offside.
I don't love that answer. It's a good question.
Prior to trading away Micah Parsons, the Cowboys dealt for George Pickens earlier this offseason. Pickens currently leads the Cowboys in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns with 58, 908, and 7, respectively. Well, Pickens is on the final year of his deal and told reporters this week that he'd love to be back, but isn't sure if he would sign the franchise tag if Dallas applied it to him.
You don't really have much of a choice. What are you going to do, hold out?
Not
Come
play.
on.
Onsides, offsides, you believe the Cowboys will give George Pickens a long-term extension after this season.
Now, it wasn't the best look for him and CeeDee Lamb to be going out and, I guess, enjoying themselves too many times, but you were playing the lousy Raiders, so you could kind of get away with it. And it's kind of a rite of passage for a Cowboys wide receiver, if you follow the history with some of those wide receivers, to enjoy yourself, like Des Bryant and Michael Irvin. With that being said, though, I think Pickens has been really good this year. And Pickens has impressed me even with those games where it really impressed me when CeeDee Lamb was out. I know you could be a little skeptical because he wasn't that great in Pittsburgh and he was a pain in the ass. But I do think like the Cowboys like some of that drama. So, yeah, I do believe the Cowboys will give George Pickens a long-term extension after this season. I will go onsides there.
All right. One of the best matchups of the week in college football is a Big Ten battle between USC and Oregon, which goes back many years to when the two programs dominated the Pac-12. Oregon is 9-1 on the year, and since beating Penn State and losing to Indiana, really haven't played anyone. Meanwhile, USC is 8-2 with losses to Illinois and Notre Dame. Onsides, offsides, Saturday's USC-Oregon matchup is winner is in the playoffs and loser goes home.
So here's the thing. If USC wins, and then let's say they beat UCLA the following week, they're 10-2. This would be their wins this year. Missouri State, Georgia Southern, Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan, Nebraska, Northwestern, Iowa, Oregon, UCLA if they win out. There's going to probably be a traffic pileup of 10-2 teams. I don't know if necessarily even if a win gets them in. Like, they probably should go, but I don't know if they will go. Now, if Oregon loses this game, it's like the Ducks probably get held out of the playoffs because they'd have the same record, and it's that USC, you're going to really leave Oregon, you're going to leave USC out when USC just beat Oregon. If it was early in the season, like a Miami-Notre Dame thing, maybe it's a little bit different. So USC-Oregon's matchup is winners in the playoff, loser goes home. The loser goes home. I don't know if the winner is in the like if Oregon wins, they're in the playoff just as long as Oregon beats Washington the following week. But if USC wins, I still don't know if they're in the playoff. So I'm going to go, I guess, off a technicality there. Offsides?
Offsides.
Yeah, doesn't sound right, but I don't know if winning, you'd rather obviously hot take of the day. You'd rather win than lose. Duh. I just don't know if USC winning solidifies them in the playoff. And then Oregon, if you lose to them Washington the following week, you could still get out. The loser's definitely, the loser isn't definitely done. If USC loses, they're definitely done. If Oregon loses, I think they're done. But we'll see what hula hoops people jump into to try to get through, get Oregon in the playoff. So I do tend to believe the loser is out.
All right, after Ash Genti finished as the runner-up in the Heisman Trophy race last season, it remains to be seen if we'll see a running back get to New York this season. If anyone does, however, it will likely be Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, who is currently 4th in the nation in rushing yards with 1,135 and 4th in rushing touchdowns with 14. Onside offsides, Jeremiah Love will finish in the top 3 of the Heisman Trophy race.
Okay, if Alabama doesn't win the SEC championship, then I think he probably will. If Alabama, because Ty Simpson, the stock has fallen after last week, but if they go on to win the SEC championship, then I think he gets back into the picture. But right now it feels like it's Fernando Mendoza, it's Julian Sayin, and then there's that other spot that's open. And I wonder if some people, I think more of the votes will go to Sayin, but I wonder if some people say, they'd rather go Jeremiah Smith over Sayin. But right now it does feel like it's either it's Mendoza's award to lose. But if Sayin then beats Mendoza in the Big Ten championship, that could swing the pendulum in a big way. The third spot I think is a fascinating one. The Rodriguez linebacker from Texas Tech could get some play. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be a top 3 in the award. But the thing with Jeremiah Love, I'm going to say onside to this. His numbers have been really damn good. But the thing is, those first 2 games of the season, it was idiotic how they barely used him up against Miami. It still annoys me. And then you lose to A&M. So it's like, what's your moment this year? I mean, guys like 80-yard touchdown each and every week. So I think it's a down year for the Heisman Trophy. A lot could happen in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that's why I give a disclaimer to my fellow Heisman Trophy voters. Don't be the moron that sends in your ballot before conference championship weekend. If you are that person, shame on you. Give up your vote and don't be a clown. Don't be a horse's ass. I'm Zach Gelb, and I approve this message. But right now, I'll say that, Jeremiah Love will finish in top 3 of the Heisman Trophy this season. I will reluctantly go onsides.
All right. Speaking of the Heisman Trophy and the ceremony, we've been accustomed to the top 3 finishers attending the ceremony each year. Well, former Florida and Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer,
the great
your
Urban
guy,
Meyer,
yes,
my guy.
He has a different idea of what they should do, and he shared that while on the Triple Option podcast.
If I was in charge of the Heisman, I'd invite 10 people every year. The 10
It's a lot of money, Coach.
Hey, go
I'm
get
just
a
saying,
sponsor.
man.
I'd send all 10, man. It's too good of a. I've been there probably 7
it's
times. with my
a
players.
tremendous
It's
experience,
incredible.
man.
All right, on to all sides, there should be at least 5 finalists at the Heisman Trophy ceremony each year.
Well, when did Urban Meyer get so soft that he wants to just make this a participation trophy? And it's like, let's send 10 finalists to New York. Yeah. Urban, remember you as the coach of Florida and Ohio State when you were a tough guy? Now you're like some old guy. Jeez, 10 people to New York for the Heisman Trophy? Urban Meyer, the coach, when he was coaching, not what he's doing now, would never say that. Never say that. But you say there should be at least 5. I would say you could invite at least 5 a year. They usually have like 3 or 4. I think that's changed recently. I forget how it goes. But I've been there where there's been 5 guys. Yeah, I'd have no problem. The top 5 recipients for the Heisman Trophy, the 5 highest votes, that they're all there in New York City. I'd be good with that. So at least 5 finalists at the Heisman Trophy ceremony every year. Yeah, I would go on sides.
All right, last one. We'll squeeze in some NBA here. After beating the Kings last night, the Thunder are now 15-1 on the season, which puts them on pace for a record of 77-5.
They're
for the season.
15-1. Has anyone talked about this yet?
No. Of course, the
If a tree fell in a forest, would anybody hear it?
Of course, the 2015-2016 Warriors had the record for the most wins in the regular season when they finished with 73 that year. On to offsides, the Thunder will break the Warriors' single-season record of 73-9.
Chris Persian, and yes or no, I'm going to you on this one because I really don't give a rat's ass.
I want to say yes.
Okay, fine. We'll go onside. Now, I have an onside-offside question for Stu.
Ooh, okay.
Earlier in the show, Mike in Abilene, Texas called it. And Mike in Abilene, Texas said that he sent me a LinkedIn request. So I logged on to my LinkedIn. Somehow my computer just remembered my password, and boom, I was in. I know I sound very old when I say that. And I saw a photo of Mike in Abilene, Texas. Mike in Abilene, Texas, has been calling this show for years. I've never seen a photo of Mike in Abilene, Texas. It's not what I was expecting. Mike in Abilene, Texas looks like G.I. Joe, right? Like, he looks like, Ken and Barbie. Like, this dude is ripped. G.I. Joe is probably the best way to say it. He looks jacked. So, a listener chimed in, and who also lives in Abilene, and he is by the name of the Master J731 in the YouTube chat. And the Master J says, Mike in Abilene, Texas, we got a meetup, dog. I live in Abilene, too, born and raised. So if you're down for a meetup at the gym, let me know. Now, Big Friendly, who I saw a photo of Big Friendly dancing. Big Friendly, I guess, is not a proponent of the gym because Big Friendly said, meeting a man at the gym, that's no bueno. Onside, offside, would you meet a man at the gym if you guys had like a little bit of an online friendship?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
I don't think it's that weird. I guess the way you, yeah.
Chris Persianen's like about to die of laughter right now. He looks like Belichick at a press conference with like the hood over his head. What would your answer be to this, Chris Persianen? Would you meet a man at the gym?
The relationship would have to be so related to physical fitness. Well,
I'm assuming the Master J is a jack dude. Like, Mike in Abilene, Texas, unless if that's like a Lene Kakua photo, he's a jack dude. So I think he hears the way that we describe him, like, all right, he's this jack dude. He goes to the gym. They both live in Abilene. Like, maybe they'll go get protein shakes together and talk about the Zach Gelb Show.
It sounds like a nice time. I think the inherent implication, and maybe this is my projection, the implication, hey, it'd be great to meet
a spotter
you and have a muscle off.
Yeah.
Like, what happened to drinks?
Yeah, that's a fair point.
What happened to Estella?
That is a fair point as well.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my first idea of a hangout.
You know, when I first got here to the network, if I thought my show would bring two men together to go work out at the gym, I wouldn't think that would be the case. But it shows you how far we've come, a long way on this show since 2018. All right, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You want to talk about people going to the gym? I see Instagram posts each and every day from Karlos with a K. Karlos with a K. He's going to be Karlos with a six-pack soon, I think. And I'm not talking about a six-pack of cerveza. I'm talking about a six-pack, down in the abdomen section. Karlos with a K. He's getting fit. He's going to join us next as we'll do some NFL picks with Karlos with a K, and I may have to eat some crow when we bring on Karlos with a K. We'll get to all that when we return.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We're going to get to some NFL picks momentarily, and our guest picker today is the executive producer of the Bart Winkler Extravaganza, a good friend of the show, a phenomenal colleague, and that is Karlos with a K, Karlos Ortiz. Karlos, how are you, my friend?
Oh, hello, Zachary. Happy Football Friday to you, Stuart, Chris. I hope all is well with thou.
Wait, time out. Are you wearing a Kansas City Chiefs shirt?
You might want to look a little closer.
Oh, the Kansas Swiftie Chiefs. Where did you find that?
I don't want to plug the company. They don't sponsor us, but
Okay.
it's a Chicago brand that makes a bunch of obvious shirts.
You always look comfortable, but I don't think I've ever seen where you live. You look really comfortable. This looks like you got a nice little man cave cooking there in the Ortiz residence.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually my living room.
Oh, really?
Very comfortable couch. I live in a New York quintessential apartment, so there's space is a luxury that we don't have.
Well, it looks palatial and overly ostentatious, if I may say so myself. But I got to give you credit because before the season, I thought you had a dumb, idiotic, mind-numbing take, and I've been very open about this. I thought it was absurd, ludicrous, jackassery that Karlos with the K, I was calling you Karlos with a crappy take, if I'm just being honest. You said that the Chiefs were going to miss the playoffs. Now, you still may be wrong on that, but the fact we're sitting here entering week 12 of the season and they're 5-5, and today they wouldn't be in the playoffs, I got to give you a little round of applause right there.
It's a little too early to take a victory lap.
Yes. But I'm not saying that you're even going to be in position to take that victory lap. But the fact that it's a possibility says it was worth the swing that you made.
Yeah, and I don't think it was a great swing, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, hindsight, I know it's 2020, but we see what they are on the field, and it's not just limited to Kansas City. It looks like there's a bunch of teams in the AFC that are pretty mid or slightly above average. In fact, look what Houston just did to Buffalo last night. So I wasn't in love with the Chiefs roster. I don't want to spend the entire segment piling up on them, even though I'm wearing a Swifties Chiefs shirt. Yeah. But I'm not getting ready for the victory lap, although I do see my shoes in the corner waiting to get laced up.
Well, you've been going to the gym more and more, I see, and that's because you need to get ready to maybe run that lap, Yeah, I see you in the gym a lot, You lifted some heavy weights, I see.
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to live. Just trying to get a couple pounds off my frame here, and the way that I blow rants, I don't want to have an aneurysm and explode. So health is going to be good. We got to have a long tenure in this business. In fact, I was just doing some grip training before I got on. So here I am.
You were doing
the clacker.
Oh, grip training, like with one of those devices. You're making sure those hands are
Captains of Crunch device.
You're making sure those hands and wrists are strong, is what you're telling me. Is that what you're telling me?
For various activities.
Yeah, a lot of alone time I hear for Karlos with a K these days. Anyway, just real quickly, give me a win or loss. Chiefs, Colts. Just give me the win-loss record here for the rest of the way. Who do you have winning that one?
Colts.
Chiefs at the Cowboys.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Chiefs, Texans.
Texans.
Chiefs, Chargers.
Chargers.
Chiefs at the Titans.
Chiefs.
Chiefs, Broncos.
Broncos.
The Broncos beat them twice. Chiefs at the Raiders.
Oh, sorry, Stu. Chiefs.
Everyone just goes, oh, sorry, Stu, on that one. So you have them
he's the one Raiders fan I know.
8 wins. That's it for Kansas City. 8 wins.
Sounds about right.
I think they're going to get more than 8. But, hey, we're in a position where I'm not going to crush you because earlier in the season you said they weren't going to make the playoffs. I still think they'll make the playoffs, but we'll have to wait and see. All righty. Let's get to some NFL picks here as we have Week 12 underway. We get to the music in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
It's time for NFL picks on the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, we will do 3 picks each. We'll go 1-1 until we do this through 3 times. If we pick the same game, we pick the same game. All picks are against the spread. Karlos, since you are a guest and you are on my turf, I let you go first. What do you got?
Well, very much appreciated, and I'll actually go back to Stu's team here. Why on earth would I have any interest in watching 2 teams that have 2 wins between both of them? Well, not really, because it's 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
I digress.
That's why you're in radio.
But I'll be a professional for once, Karlos. I'm actually going to roll with Stu here. The Browns are going to be going into the Raiders, and I feel bad for Cleveland Browns fans. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Ooh, ooh. Only problem is their offense doesn't seem to go anywhere. If you look at almost every metric in the NFL, they can't move the rock. And this Vegas Raiders defense is bad, so you figure that's a soft landing spot for Shedeur Sanders. But I'm convinced Kevin Stefanski absolutely hates Shedeur. They didn't want to draft him. It seems like it was a pick that was forced on by ownership. And I'm not saying Stefanski's mailing it in, but he is begging to get fired. I don't think they've set up Shedeur for success. There's not a lot of weapons in Cleveland. When the offense runs through your tight ends and Harold Fanning and David Njoku, I think that front 7 for the Raiders are going to tee off. Now, it's not a big line, because I also don't like the Raiders' offense nor their defense, but I expect Shedeur to have a rough time. Sacks, maybe about 5, 6, 2 turnovers. I'm going to lay the points, 3.5. Give me Vegas over the Browns.
Okay, I see this line at 4. And I've been on this all
take
week.
the 4.
You'll take the 4. So let's negotiate
I'll
on the
take the
4 because we're going head-to-head. The Raiders shouldn't be a 4-point favorite against anybody. All right? So just out of principle, I know the Browns stink. So do the Raiders. I'm going to take the Cleveland Browns plus the 4 points. So we are going head-to-head, and I've been talking about that all throughout the week. As Jersey Jerry and Stu Feiner would say, that's a bet it and forget it type of game because who actually wants to watch the Raiders and the Browns? All righty, pick number 2, Carlos. What do you got?
All right, real quick here. This one's a slam dunk, my lock of the week. Detroit Lions 6-4 and a gotta-have-it game to keep pace with everybody else in the NFC. They'll be taking on the lowly New York Giants with no Jackson Dart. Essentially no reason to be in this game. But it's all about the Giants defense. We know about the fourth quarter collapses, 4 of them throughout the season. They have the worst rushing defense in the NFL by every metric. It's a 12.5 spread, but I like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery to have a big game. 2 touchdowns for Gibbs, 1 for Montgomery. I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be easily 2 touchdowns. I will take the Detroit Mufasas. No more. It's the circle of life. Symbol shall reign supreme. I will lay the 12.5 with the Detroit Lions.
That's a good job there by Carlos with the K. If I was
It's
a
the
program,
circle of life.
wow, if I was a program director for however many more weeks we have left, I would give Carlos a K a few hosting shifts. That's what I would do. Anyway, I'm going to be in Mexico. Starting tomorrow morning, I'm in Mexico till Tuesday. And I'm going to be sitting near a pool, sitting near a beach, and I'm going to be needing to win some football games. I'm going to be winning some
Muchos
bets.
cervezas.
Yes, a lot of beers. So I already told you a stinky game where I'm taking the Browns plus 4 points. I'm also going to take another stinky game. And it's another game that I don't really intend on watching. That's the Atlanta Falcons and the Saints. I get it. Kirk Cousins has an AARP card. I understand that Kellen Moore has only have 2 wins so far, and the Falcons are 3-7. The Falcons haven't won a game since they lost the Bills, beat the Bills. But I'm looking at this spread. The Saints are a 2.5-point favorite, just out of principle. And I'm
holding my nose here because these are 2 stinky picks. I'm taking the Browns plus 4, and then I'm also taking the Falcons. The Falcons plus 2.5.
Give me the Falcons plus 2.5.
I absolutely love that pick. By the way, you sound like the principal in Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah.
I thought I sounded like Urkel, honestly, there. If I'm being...
Oh, no, you got to have the high pitch. Did I do that? Did I take the Raiders? All right, my last pick over here. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, literally. The 8-2 Colts go into Arrowhead to take on the 5-5 Chiefs. Baby, we are doubling down. All right? The Chiefs season could be over on Sunday. Not mathematically, but closer to death as they ever have been in the last 8 years. The Colts got a chance to do something very funny with the AFC, and that's put their throat on the Chiefs to make them 5-6. Now, I don't exactly love the matchup because Kansas City's defense, while they don't allow too many yards via rushing or passing, they don't really do a lot of things to scare quarterbacks either. They're middle of the pack in terms of sacks. They're toward the bottom third of the league in interceptions. Chris Jones has been very quiet in this season. So I like Daniel Jones with a little bit of time to, do what he needs to do, be surgical and take care of the ball. Give me the Colts, and I will go ahead and lay the 3.5 over the. I'm sorry, no, I'm getting points. Yes. I'm so silly. I'm getting 3.5. I feel like that's a gimme. I like the Colts outright. I will take the Colts and the points.
Did you say surgical?
I tried to say surgical. I couldn't get the word out.
I didn't sound like you said surgical. It sounded like something you couldn't say on the radio for a second.
Yeah, it may or may not have been an anatomy that we're not supposed to be mentioning, but we got the point now.
Stu, did you hear what I heard?
I did, yes.
Circle, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It kind of sounded like that.
Yeah, I thought he was going circumvent or.
No. Doesn't matter.
All righty, my final pick: 49ers and the Panthers. I'm taking the Niners laying 7 points. So I'm going the Browns plus 4, the Falcons plus 2.5, and the 49ers laying 7. Carlos with the K, Carlos with the circle. He's going Lions minus 12.5, Raiders minus 4, and he is taking the Colts plus 3.5. Minus that one snafu right there where we don't know what the heck you were saying. But I've drank beer with Karlos the K, so there's sometimes I've been around him where I don't know what he's actually saying. I do appreciate the appearance, and I thought you did a heck of a job.
Oh, no, the pleasure's all mine. I can't wait to come back and take that victory lap with you.
You know what you should do? If the Chiefs, I don't even want to do a victory lap. If the Chiefs miss the playoffs, and you said for the beginning of the season the Chiefs have missed the playoffs, I think you do a worm. Like you do the worm, and you record yourself doing the worm. Everyone likes
like Scotty Too Hottie back in WWF.
Everyone likes. I don't really know the reference, but everyone likes a bigger fella doing the worm. I think it'd be good.
All right. Well, I'll have to learn how to do the worm, but for you, I'll go ahead and knock it out.
Yeah, I think you could do the worm. You fought for our country. You could do the worm.
I might look more like a caterpillar, but we'll make it happen.
You got it. There he is. That'd be one big caterpillar. Let me tell you, Karlos the K, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show. So once again, the picks. Karlos is going Lions laying 12.5, Raiders laying 4, Chiefs plus Colts, plus 3.5. I'm going 49ers laying 7, Falcons plus 2.5, Browns plus 4 points. We will come on back. Update first. Wait, play that again.
To do be circle.
It's pretty close. Very, very, very close.
One more time. Sorry, my hearing isn't working.
To do be circle.
He was like one consonant away from it.
Remind me to never sit in a circle with Karlos with the K. That's all I'm going to say. Update time. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Zach Taylor wouldn't name his starting quarterback for Sunday, but it's hard to think it won't be Joe Burrow. The Pro Bowler is listed as questionable, but his injured toe made it through a week of practicing without any issues, seemingly putting him in line to start. The Steelers are hoping to have Aaron Rodgers. He's questionable. Mike Tomlin said they'll make a decision on Sunday. Jameis Winston makes his second straight start for the Giants, with Jackson Dart yet to be cleared from concussion protocol. Daniel Jones is okay after dealing with a minor calf injury yesterday and will start for the Colts. Isaiah Pacheco is out for the Chiefs, while Tremaine and TJ Edwards sit for the Bears. Ramondre Stevenson in line to play after missing time with a toe injury. Denver will try to halt Houston's 5-game winning streak. David Adelman's team picked itself up off the deck after having his 7-game winning streak snap. And the Raptors have also won 5 straight and will host the 1-12 Wizards tonight. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, this is Maggie. We're talking about the NFL all this week on the Infinity Sports Network. Check us out 24/7 on your smart speaker. Just say, play Infinity Sports Network.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Capaccio Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back again.
Come on, Gresh, turn it up.
Brothers, sisters, everybody say.
I can just see Gresh right now, like eating a sandwich and just yelling. Honey, he's doing the song again. This Gelb guy, 6'4". He's slimmer than me, but he shouldn't be a Backstreet Boy guy. Gresh is probably throwing knives and forks and spoons. Gresh is cutting up a sandwich, then has a yogurt. I may tell Botcha to play Backstreet Boys just to have Gresh crash out again when he hears this. I love me some Andy Gresh, though. Absolutely do. It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Did you hear that thud? It was Gresh. He just fell off his chair, freaking out. Jason from Massachusetts asked, the Patriots are 9-2, but what is their biggest flaw? You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sports Center at Zach Gelb using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low price and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. slow starts. Like, they've been able to survive all this. They give up a touchdown, I feel like it's each and every week on their opening possession, or at least points. But they don't lose those games. You do that in the playoffs, I think that could come back to bite you. All righty, Stu, let's do this right now. You've identified a bunch of teams. I just gave you the Patriots. Give me a team in the NFL. Give me some teams, and I'll tell you what I think their biggest flaws are that could prevent them from winning a Super Bowl this year.
All right. What about the Los Angeles Rams?
That's a good one. And here's why. I don't know how many flaws that they have. Stafford's great. The defense is phenomenal. Kyron Williams, fumbling. That's what it is. Kyron Williams potentially fumbling the football in a big game. That's what I think is their biggest flaw right now. Next one.
All right, another 2-loss team. What about the Denver Broncos?
The quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He has done some good things in this league, obviously, in the year and a half that he's been in, and there is no doubt about it. They made the playoffs last year. There's a big reason because of him. Their defense is awesome, but I just wonder if that quarterback is good enough to go win 3 playoff games, if you need to win 3 playoff games, or even 2 playoff games, to find a way to get to the Super Bowl.
All right, still with 2 losses, but what about the Philadelphia Eagles?
Their locker room. Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown may be taking pillows and smacking each other over the head in what would be one of the greatest NFL pillow fights that we've ever seen. This team, there's just players on this team that just don't like each other right now, and there's a lot of smoke with people getting frustrated with the quarterback, so I just think it's locker room chemistry.
Okay, what about the Colts, who are 8-2 on the year?
Quarterback turning over the football. They've been able to get past that the last few weeks because they have Jonathan Taylor, who's a flat-out stud. But that quarterback, we know that he has the ability to have a lot of turnovers, and we started to see that the last few weeks.
All right, the Lions shockingly already have 4 losses on the year. What is their biggest flaw?
Jared Goff throwing the football more than 30 times. When he throws that football more than 30 times, I don't feel good. I want a lot of Montgomery. I want a lot of Gibbs. I know it looks like Laporta's now going to be out for the season. But I'm going to say that if they lose, it's an aggressive decision, which I'm fine with. That backfires on Dan Campbell or Jared Goff, basically just turning into a pumpkin like he did last year. I think that sounds right. Turning into a pumpkin.
Yeah,
right?
turning into a pumpkin, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sticking in that NFC North, how about the team that is winning that division right now in the Chicago Bears?
See, I don't view them as a contender. I know that they're 7-3. They've been fortuitous the last few weeks to win some of these games. So I'm going to say it's just not being lucky like they've been the last 3 weeks. Like the way that they came back to beat the Giants and even how they survived up against Minnesota, I think it's a dangerous formula. But you take that if you're the Chicago Bears because you usually lose those games. This year you're winning them. But I think that offense not being where it needs to be, even though it's improved, could come back to bite them in a big spot.
Okay, what about the team that lost last night, the 7-4 Buffalo Bills? 2
things, their offensive line and then their lack of skill position players outside of James Cook. Josh Allen got abused last night. I know some of it's on him, but that line stunk. And also, outside of James Cook, the skill position players on this team, they blow. They just stink. They need Dalton Kincaid back. He's not even that great, but he makes a difference because of how bad these skill position players are in Buffalo.
What about the 5-5 Kansas City Chiefs?
I'm going to say it's their line because I know that this year it's different. This is the outlier. But when does Kansas City get blown out? Tampa Bay, Super Bowl. Eagles, Super Bowl. The line just had Mahomes under duress, so I'm going to say it's the offensive line.
All right, going back to the NFC North, what about the Green Bay Packers? They are 6-3-1 on the season.
The coach and the quarterback, I just think they're good. I don't think they're great. And I think in big spots they fold and they crumble. So I just think the quarterback and the coach not being Super Bowl caliber winning quarterback and coaches.
The Bucs have lost 2 in a row, but they are still 6-4.
Injuries. I think if this team is healthy, they could go to a Super Bowl this year. I would not have thought I would have said that before the start of the season. I don't know what's going on with Bucky Irving. It seems like there's some mental health stuff, so I have great sympathy and understanding and empathy to that. It looks like Godwin's coming back. Mike Evans, will see what happens. Emeka Buka has been 100%. But this team has been the walking wounded with injuries this year. So injuries are concerning for me.
All right, and last one, what about the 5-5 Baltimore Ravens?
People aren't going to like this answer. Lamar in a big game. Lamar in a big game has been a concern. And also, the defense they've had some injuries. I like Starks. I like Hamilton, but they've had some injuries this year. That defense in a big spot, they tend to allow a lot of points. Like last year, Bills and Ravens, there was a lot of points there. I know Mark Andrews dropped the ball at the game on the line, but there's just something about, and Harbaugh too. Harbaugh the last few years has not been a good big game coach. So that coach and quarterback just can't win a big game when they need to. All righty, that will do it for the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I am out this Sunday. I am out on Monday. I am out on Tuesday. I'm going to Mexico tomorrow morning. So I will be back on Wednesday. You get me one day next week. So if you hate me, it's wonderful. If you love me, well, you're upset with me. But I am just here Wednesday next week. Thursday, Friday, we're off as a company for Thanksgiving and then also Black Friday. So if I don't talk to you, and if you don't tune in on Wednesday, happy Thanksgiving. Remember, turkey is significantly overrated. Lasagna is the way to go on Thanksgiving. And if you don't like that take, then that is your problem. Also, one last line here. Zach no longer in California. He tweets in, I wonder if Carlos's grip training has something to do with his circle time activities.
Be surgical.
What was that, Karlos with the K? All righty. Gresh coming up next. Gresh is back. All right. Come on, Gresh. Sing it for me. Talk to you then, everybody. Be back on Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Make sure you follow me Twitter and Instagram at Zach Gelb, ZachGelb. And if you like Gresh, you like to be on TikTok, you can follow me on TikTok too at The Zach Gelb Show. Have a great one, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break.